Hi, welcome to your Racist of the Month compilation. I am Reese Waters. Now, this is typically where we expose the stupidity and hypocrisy of discrimination in hopes we can build a more perfect union. And also laugh. As usual, I have to thank today's sponsor, Racism. And of course, if you have any nominees, you can put them in the comments. You can email me at admin@reesewaters.com. Now, those of you that lived through Trump 45 probably knew that Trump 47 was going to start hot. You probably knew it was going to start hot. What I didn't know is that we would already be seeing a theme in our Racist of the Months, other than racism. This time it's DEI, and they started early.
David Spunt. He and R. Griff Jenkins are able to report that the suspect drove a truck with a Texas license plate that came through Eagle Pass, Texas 2 days ago. David, what else do you know about this vehicle?
So we're hearing that the vehicle was traced to coming across from Mexico into the United States at Eagle Pass, Texas 2 days ago. To be clear, we don't 100% know that this man, and we do know the suspect is a man, was the person driving that crossed the border. That is unclear at this point. We just know that the actual license plate was picked up by a reader at a border crossing. This is per two federal law enforcement sources. And the other thing that's not entirely clear right now is the status, the immigration status of this driver. We have heard, though, from President-elect Trump, who's going to move in here in just a few weeks. He put out a statement that says, quote, "When I said the criminals coming in are far worse than the criminals we have in our country," that statement was constantly refuted by Democrats and the fake news media, but it turned out to be true. The crime rate in our country is at a level that nobody has ever seen before. Our hearts are with all of the innocent victims and their loved ones, including the brave officers of the New Orleans Police Department. The Trump administration will fully support the city of New Orleans as they investigate and recover from this pure act of evil.
Yes, we're getting some breaking news right now into our newsroom. I want to alert our viewers. Our sources now tell Fox that truck from Eagle Pass, Texas, did not cross 2 days ago. It crossed on November 16th, and the identification of the driver that crossed the border does not appear to be the shooter. We will get more clarification, we expect, Molly, in just 4 or 5 minutes from investigators on the ground.
Just so we're clear, the MAGA among us are fully prepared to blame immigrants. And I mean fully prepared to blame immigrants. So prepared, not only do they get the report, they amplify the report based on "I heard." That is where we are right now. And that little clip right there is just a microcosm of everything that we experience coming into this moment, and really tells you a lot about the facts and information that was underlying all of the previous attacks that we have seen on immigrants, now doesn't it?
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs.
I'm pretty sure Kim Wayans on In Living Color had better sources than X does in 2025, and why people reference it as any kind of source of information at this point is beyond me. I mean, that would be like listening to Senator Kennedy over the FBI.
Can I say something, Riker? Tell me who you're with.
WDSU.
WDSU. Okay, and CBS.
NBC's over here on the right.
Oh, that's an unusual position.
I don't get it.
You wouldn't.
Y'all saw that? Y'all saw that, right? I'm just making sure. I'm just making sure that y'all saw that. Yeah, because I did.
That's an unusual position.
I don't get it.
You wouldn't.
And not only is nothing so sacred that we can't start the process by spreading a whole bunch of misinformation, but we're going to go ahead and politicize it and attack the media on top of that. We're going to go ahead and attack the media at a time like this. That'll be like me bringing up the fact that you used to be a Democrat, or that you found this accent at a crawfish boil.
John Kennedy. He used to be a Democrat that talked like this.
Well, we have another program here at Treasury that we're very proud of.
But then he became a Republican, switched accents, and now he talks like this.
I will not let you down. I'd rather drink weed killer.
I wish I understood better why bad things happen to good people. If I make it to heaven, I'm going to ask. For those people who don't believe in objective evil, all you have to do is look at what happened in our city early this morning. I will promise you this. I will, when it is appropriate and this investigation is complete, you will find out what happened and who was responsible. Or I will raise fresh hell. And I will chase those in the federal government who are responsible for telling us what happened, like they stole Christmas.
Oh, you will get answers, huh? You mean from the authorities, like the woman who you just pushed aside? Yeah. So you just went and pushed somebody aside to say that you will get answers. Is that what you just did? He out here acting like they gave the mic to the guy standing in the back sipping out the red Solo cup.
Suspicious, and we have not. However, as I said before, if the public sees something, please reach out to us. That way we can go through and verify that we did not miss anything. But we conducted initial sweeps.
Now here's where we get a litmus test of exactly where we are in our society. So me watching that and this FBI agent being treated the way that she was, at least gave me the satisfaction that she wasn't the objectionable one. At least he's the one out here showing his They made her the problem?
Well, it's certainly a threat, and that's why we need focus, and we need readiness, and we need clarity and priorities. The priority of the last 4 years has been DEI.
That's right. That's how you treat a useless DEI. So let me get this straight. We started with blaming immigrants, and when that didn't work because it was an American citizen, a veteran, in fact, now we have moved on to blaming DEI. Just so I'm clear, so we're blaming DEI. Now, let me ask you this, because apparently this is how you treat a useless DEI, and so clearly she has no impact on anything. So is she the problem or is she irrelevant? You're gonna have to get your racism straight, Maga, because this ain't lining up right now for me. So you watched him go from talking like Bobby Kennedy to Bobby Boucher, fresh out a red Solo cup, but the way she talks is a problem. This is where your enthusiasm and your fervor to racism becomes quite a liability. Yeah, because the fact that a black person cannot appear in public in any capacity without a red hat, without this being the result, is quite damning. That is why you got called contemptible idiots over the holiday. And that's exactly why you fell for, Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and JD Vance are going to advocate for me in the first place. Now here's something, it's from a white guy, so hopefully you will accept it. I don't know, guys, maybe rushing to scream DEI when the FBI agent in New Orleans who spoke to the public is black isn't the best look when Comey, Page, McCabe, etc. are all white. Maybe it's the FBI and not DEI. See, really what it is like 6 degrees of brownness. If it's within 6 degrees of brownness, we can blame DEI. Then we don't have to blame the whole FBI. So all the white people get immunity. So I know all of this stuff happens when there's a lot of white people who could be in charge. But if there's a black person within 6 degrees, then they get the blame. Again, this is where that becomes a liability, because if you weren't so blatant in the double standards that you're applying to black people wherever they happen to be and whatever they happen to be doing, your inferiority complex wouldn't be so obvious. A couple interesting notes here about the whole DEI mess. Actually, I didn't actually mean that one. We'll have to bring up DEI for Republicans a little bit later. I found this fascinating, this little bit from Danica Patrick talking about DEI when quite frankly, she has been the beneficiary of DEI and white women at large have been the beneficiaries of DEI, but they sit there and let us take the accusations of being DEI, having been the main beneficiaries of DEI, while saying absolutely nothing. Let's not let that go unmentioned. Oh, I see we've moved on to talking about her nose ring. We're talking about her hair. We're talking about how she talks. You know, the Southern strategy has gotten extremely lazy. It has gotten extremely lazy. Because I remember when Lee Atwater first came out with it, he said, we can't drop N's no more. We're going to talk about busing and war on drugs and things of that nature. Now we're talking about hair and nose rings. Yeah. Pretty soon they're going to start a war on now and laters. I mean, it is that blatant. So let's see. We started with immigrants, and then we shifted to DEI, to blaming DEI. But that is extremely ineffective at this particular point. Where could they possibly go? Oh, I got an idea. Islamophobia. How about that? Now, Maga, have y'all learned absolutely nothing from the holiday Maga Civil War? Huh? Did you learn nothing from that, from having all of that latent racism that you had just right out there in open and realize that you had been sold a bill of goods? I mean, Trump told you what it was.
Why did you change your mind on H-1B visas, sir?
I didn't change my mind. I've always felt we have to have the most competent people in our country. We need competent people. We need smart people coming into our country. And we need a lot of people coming in. We're going to have jobs like we've never had before.
Or was it Musk that told you what it was? Whichever one y'all are receiving as your daddy at this particular point in time.
When Elon tweets something and when Trump tweets something, Republicans don't know. I've said this earlier. Republicans don't know who their daddy is. Like, they don't know which one they need to be listening to first, and it's scrambling them.
They both told you what it was, and you are so opposed to looking inward at all. Because this whole conversation that we had last year about immigrant crime, and the thing that was just blatantly left right out there on the table was the amount of crime that emerges from right here, like the homegrown stuff. Here you have an American citizen born here, an actual veteran, and y'all have gone from immigrants, oh, that don't work. We're going to DEI, oh, well, that looks bad because Senator Kenny out here off a red Solo cup sounded like Foghorn Leghorn. We going with Islamophobia. Those are the lengths that you are willing to go. In fact, until you get over this, you're going to continue to fall for the okie doke. That is how they were able to convince you that billionaires were going to come for Idaho, because they know this is what you will do and how you will react in a moment like this. Has Elon Musk called them racist today? What? He spent all his time mad at headlines? This man spent the day that Americans were lost complaining about headlines and threatening to sue. Fox News is not going to like that. Fox News is definitely not going to like that. They already mad that they couldn't politicize this one. That's right. Another citizen, another veteran, because you knew they had the immigrant and the Islamophobia locked and loaded, and let them find a black person at all in the vicinity. Was it a black person that just walked by on the street? Maybe one of the firefighters was black. They ready to go DEI. The saddest part about all of this is in a moment where we not only should be showing love and sending condolences and care and doing what we can to try and ensure that this doesn't happen again, we are trying to demonize people who we perceive as other, whether it be immigrants, whether it be Muslims, and sad to say, whether it be black people, because that's where all the DEI stuff comes from, us not being considered a part of. And as long as all of this time and energy is being devoted to demonizing the other, it leaves you extremely vulnerable to the danger that emerges from right here. You are actually willing to be less safe to preserve your racism. I don't say this often, but Elon Musk was right. Y'all are contemptible idiots. Today's nominee, Lincoln County, Oregon. And by the way, since we're talking Oregon, I want to send a shout out to the great Bill Walton, his family, and as well as all those that we lost in 2024. Now, you guys are probably well acquainted with those picking cotton slavery messages that emerged immediately after the election. Greetings, you have been selected to pick cotton at the nearest plantation. Our executive slaves will come get you in a brown van. Be prepared to be searched down once you've entered the plantation. So I did check into that, and this appears to be an actual thing that is going around the country. As you can see here, racist text messages referencing slavery raise alarms in multiple states and prompt investigations. I ain't getting nothing. I guess I'm in the house. Well, here we are, still weeks removed from the election, and we get this. The Brown Roundup, the racist chain letter terrorizing an Oregon county. Recipients, including a mayor, were told to surveil, quote, brown folks at churches, schools, and stores. A racist letter campaign in Oregon is encouraging white people to report people of color they suspect are undocumented to DHS. Now that's interesting, because if the issue was people infiltrating the United States, then why would only there be white people that you're asking to do it? So I can't participate? Is that what you're saying? It's like you don't consider me a whole human being. Tell me you racist without telling me you racist. I didn't realize that Brown Roundup was one of those white jobs. A racist letter reportedly circulating through Lincoln County, which has a population of about 50,000 people and is located on the state's western coast, encourages residents to surveil and report, quote, brown illegals who you suspect are here in our country on an illegal basis to the Department of Homeland Security. The letter employs white locals to help facilitate the largest roundup of brown illegals in our country, referring to Trump's pledge to begin mass deportations of approximately 11 million people, and promises white residents a chance to seize the victims' homes. Now I see why we weren't invited to Brown Roundup. Now that makes sense. Yeah. The same country that would have redlining and refuse us participation in the GI Bill and things of that nature, they certainly wouldn't be offering us access to these homes. No. I wonder what kind of technology they're using to determine which browns are illegal and which browns are illegal. They got They are really advanced in these white supremacist communities. Also not lost on me is that this is referred to as a roundup. Yeah, as in cattle. In starkly racist language, it proceeds to outline a dystopian vision for surveillance of people of color everywhere from churches to schools and grocery stores. Sit in your church's parking lot and write down the license plate number of brown folks. This is extremely important if you attend a Catholic church. Many brown folks are Catholics. Shopping. Again, if you see a bunch of brown folks getting in a car, write down the plate. Schools, as you wait in line to pick up the kiddos or the grandkiddos, they using cutesy language for the brown roundup. Did they get a marketing company involved to try and sell the brown roundup? Your neighborhood, you know where the brown folks live in your neighborhood. Again, record the plate. If you see a construction crew and or a landscaping crew who have brown folks, write down the name of the company and a phone number. Now, a couple things I want to highlight here. There were no white collar jobs that were named. No, they went with construction and landscaping. Yeah, it's fascinating that specifically those two. They didn't want to go to cherry picking or anything like that. They didn't want to go to cotton picking. There's always the cotton picking. You have to appreciate, as much has been said about how far these Christian nationalists are removed away from actual Christian principles. You know, far be it for me to feed the hungry and take care of the sick. As much as we've already been having those conversations, what I particularly appreciate about the Brown Roundup, they are asking people to surveil Browns at church. At church. So it's not just so much that you are so far divorced from your Christian principles. We actually want to also bastardize your Christian experience, like your actual Christian experience. Because you know, they love them a Catholic church. Oh, that's going to be a liability. That's going to be a liability for them. Now, can you round them up when they're in confession? Just have some kind of booth where the doors close and they can't come out? Oh, I got an idea. How about this? You know how they do those lottery winnings where they tell people that got warrants that they won something and they come in and they get locked up? How about a confession jamboree? Perhaps the most disturbing, because yes, it gets worse, are the ways that the letter directly echoes some of the Trump administration's own anti-immigration talking points. Attacks on sanctuary cities, promises of detention, and allegedly solving the housing crisis through mass deportations, which the letter compares approvingly to Japanese internment. Well, I can tell you this, those letter writers are going to be very upset about what happened over the holiday. I can tell you that. I can tell you that right now. They are not pleased with Elon Musk's heel turn on Maga. I would like to see what the revised version of these letters look like. You also have to appreciate the solving of the housing crisis by targeting construction crews. Yeah, they didn't really finish the thought on that one, you know. But you know, if these were the kind of people that could finish the thought, they probably wouldn't be engaging in this kind of behavior. So you get what you asked for with the white supremacists. The letter claims Oregon's status as a sanctuary state makes it especially fitting for its perverse anti-immigrant demands. We have received information brown folks who are currently in Idaho and Montana are planning to move to our state because they believe it will be safer for them. So don't limit the license plate to just Oregon. Brown folks from any state will be able to be reported to the Department of Homeland Security. Now, what I can say is that it's safer for just about anybody that leaves Idaho and Montana. Like it really doesn't matter what direction you go in when you leave Idaho and Montana, it's going to be safer. And it outlines Trump's vision for how deportations will be enacted, writing, The brown folks will remain in county jails until the camps are completed in Texas. Then these folks will be transferred there, referring to the detention camps that, as Isabella Diaz has reported, Trump's acolytes plan to build. Oh yeah, they gonna try and make money off every aspect of this thing. When the brown folks are rounded up, the letter continues, their properties will be confiscated just like the properties belonging to the Japanese in California were during World War II. So within a short term, there'll be a whole lot of homes on the market for us white folks to purchase, and with the inventory so high, the prices will be very low and affordable. Now, again, I understand that I've already established when it comes to these white supremacists, you get what you ask for. Why would you put that in the letter? You know, I just, because y'all always want to attack us for, music and how many people just admit to things in music. It's like, hip hop is just now one long confession set to a beat. They put this in the letter for the Brown Roundup. What's wrong with y'all? I would also like to ask, so you mentioned that there'll be a lot of affordable houses for us white folks, but I don't know if you are aware there are non-white folks who are in fact citizens. In fact, I happen to be one. So can I bid on the house, or like how exactly does that work? I mean, are you setting this? Are you reinstituting redlining, or like what? How is y'all have a whole plan through? Clearly not. I know. The houses with the straight clean roofs are the ones that the white people bid on. The black people could bid on the houses where the roof pants are sagging. You know, when roof pants are sagging, when the roof got a little swagger, those are the ones. You know what I mean? So we'll hold a whole separate auction for y'all for the roofs where the pants are sagging. But it's going to be like a couple days later, just to give y'all time to show up. CPT. It's unclear how many people have received the letter, but the recipients included local lawmakers in the city of Toledo, including its mayor, who received a copy in the mail. Portland NBC affiliate KGW reported. He and other local officials have publicly condemned the letter. In a Facebook post, Lincoln County Sheriff Curtis Landers characterized it as harmful, divisive, and inconsistent with the values we uphold as public servants and community members. Quote, we strongly advise against engaging in activities such as those outlined in this letter, including collecting or sharing information about individuals based on their demographic or perceived immigration status. His post also notes that state law generally prohibits the inquiry or collection of an individual's immigration or citizenship status or country of birth, and that the sheriff's office does not inquire about, document, or share such information with ICE. Well, I can't imagine, how this might damage the fabric of the community. I mean, for one, you have people out here trying to surveil their neighbors with no actual mechanism of determining who is and who isn't legal. So then you're going to have the Latino community up in arms, knowing that they could be targeted, and in fact probably are being targeted at any time by any person who happens to be white. Then you put on top of that the fact that you apparently are unwilling to accept any bids on any of these houses or any participation from black people or Asian people or indigenous peoples. Not that we would want to participate. It's just the fact that you have communicated by virtue that we can't participate who in fact you see as being truly native to this country. So you have in fact completely segmented the entire society. And you done bastard out what? Church? What was it? Church? Schools? Are you sure you didn't want them surveilling like the games, the Little League games? Like, why don't we dirty that up? I mean, you went with kiddos and grandkiddos, so you certainly are appealing to the family-oriented Oregonian. That I know. Now, as far as them saying discouraging people from participating in this kind of behavior, obviously not everybody got the message, because we all saw this story in the same region out in Colorado, where a man allegedly followed a news reporter for 40 miles to his station, where he attacked and strangled him after accusing him of not being an American citizen. The Grand Junction Police Department responded to a call of an assault in progress on December 18th. According to an arrest affidavit obtained by the Associated Press, the incident began when 39-year-old Patrick Thomas Egan, there he is, there's three named Patrick right here, parked beside reporter J-Ron Alex's news vehicle at a stoplight and shouted something similar to, "Are you even a U.S. citizen? This is Trump's America now. I'm a Marine and I took an oath to protect this country from people like you." Now, it's at this point that I would like to just highlight the fact that him being a military man, he's a Marine, and he took a certain oath to defend the country from people like J-Ron Alex, apparently does not apply to disrespect of the military in any way. That's the first thing I would like to assert. The next thing I would like to say is that I don't recall in that that letter that was sent out in Oregon, was there a pass for black people or brown people or Asian people, indigenous, who served in the military? Was there did they have an exception? Were they able to bid on the houses that were being confiscated if they served in the military? Were they no? Okay, got you. Okay, but now all of a sudden you have a duty to do, because you were in the military, as you disrespect other members of the military and allow the military to be disrespected by the man who you claim you're moving in a mission to defend. Got it. Egan then followed Alex's news vehicle in his own work car, a taxi cab he drove for sunshine rides. According to police, Egan followed Alex all the way back to the KCCO KJCT station, which was around 40 miles away from where the initial exchange took place. Imagine somebody following you for 40 miles. I mean, really, like, what would you do? What would you do if somebody followed you for 40 miles? Both men arrived to the station at the same time, and Egan chased Alex as he attempted to run into a building. Egan allegedly demanded Alex's ID. Now, one of the things that they take into consideration when you go into court is, did you have time to simmer down? Did you have some, was this heat of the moment? Or did you actually have some time to calm down? And if you had time to calm down and you go through with it, then it's considered to be a much worse offense. 40 miles. 40 miles. This man had to do turns. This man had to put his blinker on. This man had to watch traffic. This man had to stop at stoplights. This man had to weave other cars on the road while keeping that same energy. Then again, if we being honest, having to drive for 40 miles probably made him more mad. That probably made him more mad, if we're being for real. I don't think I've ever driven that far and ended up happier on the other side. Police said that upon refusal, Egan tackled Alex and strangled him until Alex's co-workers managed to restrain the attacker. That is what we are dealing with, and we are still weeks away from inauguration. Now, back to the original story. Oregon's Attorney General Ellen Rosenblum also condemned the Brown Roundup. ABC affiliate KATU of Portland reported that the FBI's Oregon office is aware of the letter and encouraged community members who feel they're being physically threatened to report concerns to local law enforcement. In a statement provided to Mother Jones on Monday, Senator Ron Wyden said racism has no place in Oregon or anywhere else, and I'm proud to add my voice to the chorus of state and local officials denouncing this cowardly and cruel letter. Oregon's other Democratic Senator Jeff Merkley does not appear to have publicly commented on the letter, and his office did not respond to a request for comment. Well, that's odd. Spokesperson for the Trump transition team did not immediately respond to requests for comment. That is not odd. That's actually quite predictable. Oregon maybe should have been nominated as an entire state, because as I saw this story, there was also this story. Let's go out to Coos Bay, Oregon, and yes, you should get a nominee as well. Recordings reveal that an Oregon port contractor was praising this guy and openly using slurs at his white supremacy meetings that had been infiltrated by whistleblowers. Now they get, this is my favorite part. Now officials face a quandary. Really? Really? It's a quandary because the laws protecting free speech, along with challenging economic circumstances, make it difficult to cut ties. Now, I can appreciate your defense of free speech. I can understand that. I can understand the economic realities that you're faced and needing to have a replacement. I can understand that. Just let me ask you this question. If he was considered an extremist in a different direction, right? Let's say that he was was one of those anti-establishment types who we see in our community, and that became public, and was praising somebody that had committed atrocities on the level of the man who this guy was praising. Let me ask about how much protection of free speech you would be advocating for in that scenario. Yeah, I'm just wondering how much the financial realities would come into play if this was a different kind of extremist. Yeah, exactly. By the way, a coalition of human rights groups, environmental organizations, a labor union, and other nonprofits have called on the port to reject business dealings with the owner identified as a neo-nacho and avowed white supremacist. The controversy comes as the port of Coos Bay, the largest coastal deepwater shipping port between Seattle and San Francisco, is poised for significant transformation. It recently landed $54 million in federal funding towards a possible $2.3 billion expansion in what might someday be a large rail and shipping hub, paving the way for thousands of jobs in Southwest Oregon. But yeah, you can't risk that by finding a new contractor in such a short period of time. But if the situation were different, you would say we can't risk our new contract by having somebody like that so close to it. It's just a matter of which side of the crayon box you decide to pull your explanation out of. And Oregon is certainly no stranger to this particular segment. We have been to Oregon before. David Douglas High School football team in Portland has competed in 3 away games against rival high schools in Oregon so far this season, and each game brought a deplorable barrage of racial hate speech and behavior. So apparently these are the kinds of citizens that they are appealing to when they tell them not to go along with the Brown Roundup. These are the Good Samaritans they're assuming will not surveil their neighbors at church because they're largely Catholic. This is who you're asking to protect the community. We have a bit of a first today because I've toyed around with the idea of celebrating allies and a platform to do so, and that is exactly what I intend to do today. Hey, Costco. Yeah, Come on down. Now, I have been riding with Costco for a minute, ever since I used to go as a kid hungry into the store and they gave me all them free samples. And then doubled down when they said that they weren't gonna raise the price of that hot dog combo. And for somebody as cheap as I am, a place where everything you buy is a lifetime supply will always warm my heart. I bought this bag of matcha back in 1997. I remember because Return of the Mac had just came out. It's still half full. Well, look, we all know exactly how hard the GOP Congress has been pushing the anti-DEI agenda.
The Biden-Harris administration has forced DEI initiatives into nearly every agency and program within the federal government. DEI initiatives destroy morale, decrease recruitment, and potentially violate federal law. These initiatives spread divisive and exclusive ideologies in our federal government workplaces, and taxpayers are left footing the bill. For these reasons, I support the Dismantle DEI Act. H.R. 8706 aims to repeal the federal DEI programs across the federal government. This bill prohibits funding for such programs and creates a new Civil Rights Act protection against requiring individuals to participate in such programs. The bill will lend legislative support to the incoming Trump administration's efforts to eradicate the Biden-Harris administration's entrenchment of leftist DEI policies in the executive branch.
And we have seen the thorough opposition as voiced by Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley.
On one hand, they're saying that racism does not exist. On the other hand, they are saying there is rampant reverse racism. Well, how do you reverse something that never existed in the first place? Riddle me that. While this Republican policy may have a new name, it's the same old tired game. Look, y'all are entitled to your opinions, but not a denial of the facts. Do you all know your history? Do you know American history? The original Constitution counted enslaved individuals as 3/5 of a person. During World War II, the federal government forcibly relocated and incarcerated 110,000 Japanese Americans. The FHA practiced redlining in the 1930s and 60s to deny mortgages to Black Americans, which is why we have a racial wealth gap today. I could go on. The GI Bill, which is supposed to be race neutral, denied access to Black Americans, denying them equal access to education and housing benefits, which is why we do not have generational wealth. Don't talk to me about merit when those Black servicemen fought for our freedoms. And I'd also just like to take a personal note of privilege to say, please keep Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s name out of your mouths.
Yes. And Summer Lee.
As Republicans targeting these policies are no accident. Why do predominantly conservative white men believe that the success of a Black person or the opportunity or access of a Black person is an existential threat to them? DEI is not given any unfair advantage that society itself does not already confer on certain Americans. It merely exists to ensure that all other people, that women, minoritized folks, queer folks, disabled folks, have the same opportunities to succeed and thrive in our workforce and our schools as people who have not had those opportunities systematically and legally stripped from them do. Is our country not greater when all of us have opportunities to succeed and contribute and survive? Our success and our survival as a nation is bound together. Diversity, equity, and inclusion programs only exist to band-aid over decades, hell, centuries of discrimination against people's skin color, their religion, disabilities, gender, or sexual orientations, you name it. Contrary to Republican conjecture, remedying past discrimination is not, in turn, a discrimination. And we're not going to sit here and pretend racism is over just because one Black person on the Supreme Court agreed that it should be. What DEI does not do is give some kind of magical pass to better jobs, like some of our colleagues are implying. That middle word, equity, does not mean more than or better than. It means treating people fairly and impartially. It means working to fix generational and systemic discrimination to the betterment of all of us and all of our institutions. But instead, Republicans are trying to bastardize the term DEI to be a slur. When Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson was up for confirmation and when Vice President Harris was added to the ticket, they called them DEI hires. They want you to believe that a Harvard graduate with over 20 years of experience, who happens to be a black woman, is not qualified, but a Fox News personality is qualified to run the Department of Defense, and the WWE executive is qualified to run the Department of Education. Let's be real. There is an attempt to create a direct correlation between our race, being a black person, and our qualifications. So much as to say that there is no way to be a black woman. There is no resume that a black person could have that would qualify them unless that black person is a Republican. And there is a quota there.
Now, while all these other stores out here folding like that little piece of fabric between Tyson's cheeks, here comes Costco standing on business. Costco is pushing back hard against the anti-DEI movement. That's what I'm talking about, Costco. That's what I'm talking about. Costco is battling an anti-DEI wave with a stern rebuke to activist shareholders looking to end the warehouse retailer's diversity ambitions. Walmart, John Deere, Tractor Supply. You know what? One more time for those in the back. Walmart, John Deere, and Tractor Supply and other companies are changing or walking away from diversity, equity, and inclusion policies, but Costco believes DEI helps its treasure hunt shopping atmosphere, and it is standing behind its efforts. Costco's board of directors unanimously recommended that its shareholders vote against a proposal brought by a conservative think tank, the National Center for Public Policy Research, that would require Costco to evaluate and issue a report on the financial risks of maintaining its diversity and inclusion goals. The group criticized Costco for possible illegal discrimination against employees who are white, Asian, male, or straight. Now, keep in mind, they talked about the financial risks, right? You wanted them to issue a report about the financial risks about this illegal discrimination. Put that under your hat. We're going to circle back around. Costco has a chief diversity officer and a supplier program that focuses on expanding with small and diverse businesses. It also donates to organizations like the Thurgood Marshall College Fund that serve minorities and underrepresented groups. I had no idea that I didn't know Costco was down like that. You know, it makes sense because when I saw the mattress they were selling at Costco, the picture had kente cloth sheets on it. You know what I mean? And so I thought something might. I was like, is that kente cloth sheets on the mattress they selling? I knew something was up when I was a kid. When they gave you them samples, they always gave you a little napkin, even if the sample didn't need it, because they knew you was gonna keep that napkin and put it in your car. Costco said its DEI efforts helped the company attract and retain a wide range of employees and improve merchandise and service in stores. How about that? Costco also said its members want to interact with a diverse employee base. Quote, among other things, a diverse group of employees helps bring originality and creativity to our merchandise offerings, promoting the treasure hunt that our customers value. Interesting. So what you mean to tell me is that the diverse employees just bring a different set of ideas. Huh. Where have I seen that before? Sounds a whole lot like what Elon Musk is talking about on X. You know, now that he's trying to push through them H-1B visas. Costco said in its proxy statement to investors, we believe, and member feedback shows, that many of our members like to see themselves reflected in the people in our warehouses with whom they interact. So what you mean to tell me is that it's good to have people who reflect your customer base, just to make sure that they know that they are in fact welcome. That is a fascinating notion and idea. You know, if I take that same logic towards, I don't know, Walmart, that tells you exactly who it is they want to make sure feels good. Who's that? Machines? Because I ain't seen nothing but self-checkout over there. They bad as CVS. The board went further in its recommendation to vote against the proposal, saying the think tank is masking its true anti-diversity agenda under the guise of reducing risks. One more time for those in the back. The board went further in its recommendation to vote against the proposal, saying the think tank is masking its true anti-diversity agenda under the guise of reducing risk. Costco said the NCPPR is inflicting burdens on companies with challenges to DEI, and the organization's broader agenda is to abolish diversity initiatives. So what you mean to tell me is that their real agenda is to make sure that we get absolutely no opportunity and they have the freedom to just place whoever they want in any and all positions of prestige, and they're making it about finances? Remember, we said finances. We'll circle back around to that.
But wait, there's more.
Quote, the proponent professes concern about legal and financial risks to the company and its shareholders associated with the diversity initiatives. The supporting statement demonstrates that it is the proponent and others that are responsible for inflicting burdens on companies with their challenges to long-standing diversity programs. The proponent's broader agenda is not reducing risks for the company, but the abolition of diversity initiatives. Somebody tell Elon Musk, yeah, no, he not gonna like that. They trying to kill diversity initiatives. He not gonna like that because he want to make sure that he can bring in people from all outside. So what we want to do is make sure that your company is efficient and make sure that you are not missing opportunities where you can make even more profit than you are making now, because we want to make sure that we are restricting spending and we are as efficient as possible. Hey, did they remove that debt ceiling yet? No, they took it out the bill. Damn. Costco released its proxy earlier this month, but the statement gained attention on social media this week. There's no single definition of DEI, but it's generally a mix of employee training, employee resource networks, and recruiting practices to advance representation of people of different races, genders, and classes, people with disabilities, veterans, and others. The shareholder resolution contends that Costco's DEI practices are potentially discriminatory, but Costco said its policies are legal and non-discriminatory. Costco, which pays some of its highest wages in retail and is considered a progressive employer, is backing DEI at a moment when such initiatives are under attack from right-wing activists, legal groups, and conservative customers and President-elect Donald Trump's incoming administration. One more time, Costco, which pays some of the highest wages in retail and is considered a progressive employer. Message. Remember that. Remember that. Message. Most companies are not abandoning DEI entirely, but some are modifying terminology from DEI to inclusion or belonging in an attempt to fend off pressure. Companies are also advertising their efforts less prominently than they were in 2020 and 2021. I wonder what made them in 2020 and 2021 all of a sudden they wanted diversity. That is fascinating. Just everybody at the same time, out of the kindness of their own hearts. Wasn't that nice?
Hide the money, y'all!
Now, remember the financial justification that they initially used for pushing this anti-DEI agenda. Now, when it comes to finances and diversity, Jasmine Crockett really landed the plane on that thing.
But you consistently said over and over the word oppression, and every time that you said it, it was almost as if I was hearing nails on a chalkboard, because it seems like you don't understand the definition of oppression, and I'd ask you to just refer to Google to help you out. Oppression is the prolonged, cruel, or unjust treatment or control. That is the definition of oppression. And so as I sit here as a Black woman who practiced civil rights, let me tell you the reason that my colleagues wanted to make sure you understood the same Black history that your side of the aisle wants to delete out of classrooms is because you can then misuse words like oppression. There has been no oppression for the white man in this country. But as I sit here and I think about what we say and what I'm hearing as it relates to diversity when it comes to anything outside of making money. And to be clear, we are losing GDP every time we try to push back on this idea of diversity because all of us bring something different to the table.
But this comes from Forbes. While those speaking out against DEI are seemingly getting louder and louder, there's a committed group of businesses and leaders who refuse to deny what diversity has done to grow their companies. Fascinating. So companies deciding in and of themselves what is good for their bottom line. Imagine that. This is a masterclass in how to address this topic in a clear and conscious way in the boardroom and with the information posted live online where it can be accessed and referred to as needed. The politics of DEI should not overshadow its power and potential. By 2045, America will be a majority people of color, and building a bridge to be inclusive of these voices allows companies to overcome the historic blind spot with these consumers when it comes to messaging, marketing, and elevating their importance to business, society, and the economy at large. How big is this blind spot, you ask? Over $6 trillion domestically and over $16 trillion globally. It is estimated that Black Americans' spending power sits between $1.4 trillion and $1.8 trillion annually, a powerful economic bloc that's comparable to the gross domestic products of Mexico, Canada, and Italy. Latinos' purchasing power in the U.S. reached $3.4 trillion in 2021 and grew over 2 times faster than non-Latino counterparts. Asian Americans with $1.3 trillion in buying power have a median household income of over $104,000, well above the average income in the country. This demographic has grown 314% over the past 2 decades, becoming the fastest growing of all ethnicity groups. And when you step outside the U.S. to discuss global diversity in areas such as accessibility and LGBTQ+, those with disabilities and their families spend an estimated $13 trillion per year, while the LGBTQ community's financial strength is estimated to be around $3.9 trillion. Tapping into these consumer markets is not only smart, but also necessary for robust corporate bottom lines. An added bonus is that the collective intelligence, insights, and skill sets of diverse populations provide opportunities for employers to strengthen their workforce headcounts. And by watching companies like Costco tackle these issues in the boardroom, we can see why DEI is worth defending. Now, here's the thing. When you reach a certain point of achievement, it is customary to make sure that you show love and respect to those that were there when. You know, those people who held you down in the rough times, not now when everything is all good, in the rough times. And that is the kind of energy with all of this economic buying power that I just laid out that I would like to see us shower upon the people that are standing on business at a time like this. Because keep in mind, not only can you clearly not count on so many retailers and businesses at large to have our back, sometimes you can't even count on our own to have our back. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Roscoe's. But let's start out with our nominee, Bruce Fischer. Now let's go to the facts. The husband of a Republican senator refused to shake Vice President Kamala Harris's hand during his wife's swearing-in ceremony, as seen in a now viral exchange that captured everything.
My husband, Bruce. Hi. Do you want to come here, Bruce?
Is it kick on the ground?
In the middle. Scoot over a little. No. It's okay. Yeah, we're fine. We're not going to fight. Don't worry. Okay. We're ready. Okay.
Do you solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States? Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your work. Thank you. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. Okay, sure.
Okay. Back way just a little bit. There you go. Thank you so much. Ready? 1, 2, and 3. Hold it. Ready? 1, 2, and 3. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay.
Up there. 1 second.
Senator Deb Fischer of Nebraska appeared to be all smiles while being sworn in by Harris for her 3rd term in the U.S. Senate while standing alongside her husband, Bruce. The moment turned frosty as the senator repeatedly nudged her husband to stand closer to the vice president as he held a cane with one hand and a Bible in the other. "It's okay, I won't bite. I'm not going to bite, don't worry," a smiling Harris is heard telling him as he appears to avert his gaze and keep his eyes on the Bible. Deb Fischer shook Harris's hand after completing her oath and thanked the vice president. When Harris expressed congratulations to the senator's husband, he offered a short thank you and then dropped his newly freed hand and put it in his pants pocket, prompting a raised eyebrows reaction from Harris. The senator shared photos of the event on her social media account along with a pledge about continuing to stand together. And that is quite an assertion, that you're going to pledge to continue to stand together with photos of that moment. Okay, all right. Was that a nod to Kamala Harris? Is that what it was? Together, we will continue to stand tall for our shared values and take care of our people. We will protect this nation. We will build a stronger Nebraska, and we will secure that brighter future for our children and grandchildren, her post read. Representatives for her office did not immediately respond to requests for comment on Monday about the handshake or lack thereof. Now, let's just go ahead and check that out one more time.
My husband, Bruce. Hi. Do you want to come here, Bruce?
Piece of cake on the ground?
In the middle. Scoot over a little. No. It's okay. We're biting. We're not going to bite. Don't worry. Okay. We're ready. Okay.
Do you solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States? Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your work. Thank you. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. Okay, sure.
Are you going to turn for me? Okay. And that way just a little bit. There you go. Thank you so much. Ready? 1, 2, and 3. Hold it. Ready? 1, 2, and 3. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay.
There. 1 second.
I'll take you through my stages because I saw this pretty early in the day yesterday, and I was initially extremely angry. Like, I was initially very outraged when I saw this. However, I looked at some of the reactions to this, especially from the right wing, and they were saying that, well, he had a cane, and so he was holding the Bible with one hand, the cane with the other hand. And I said, you know what, maybe this could be misplaced. Maybe my anger could be misplaced. And I definitely don't want to waste, I don't want to waste my outrage, because we will have ample opportunity for that, at least in the next 2 years, certainly, probably the next 4. So we'll have ample opportunity for that. And I want to make sure that I have, I'm being responsible in the volume that I choose to give things like this. Maybe I should just chill and sit this one out. That's why this didn't come out yesterday, because that's where I was with it. I had calmed down. And then the more I thought about it, I said, now wait a minute, because his wife took the Bible from him. His wife took the Bible from him, which gave him a free hand. So he had a free hand. And what did he do with that free hand? He put it in his pocket.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you for your work. Thank you. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. Okay, sure.
Are you going to turn for me?
Okay.
He put it in his, he told on y'all. Maga, he told on y'all. He gave up the game. Because if you wanted me to believe that this was a man who was unsteady on his feet, did he just put that hand in his pocket that he didn't use to shake the vice president's? He put it in his pocket. Yeah, because I know that hand in the pocket. That's the worst hand in the pocket I've seen since the great pocket pool match of 1989. What? I didn't say I was playing. Now, let me ask you this question. Some people say maybe he was overcome by the moment. You know, he was trying to navigate the Bible and the cane. He was overcome by the moment. And he wasn't sure what to do. Okay, what are the chances that he would have allowed himself to be overcome by the moment and snub Trump? I'm just curious, like, what are the chances if it was Trump that he would have been, if he was overcome by the moment, he would have managed to snub Donald Trump? Just anywhere between hell no and is you crazy? Like, where would you put the chances that he would have snubbed Donald Trump?
So help you God?
I do.
Congratulations, son.
Thank you, sir.
Great. Thank you. I appreciate it. That's important. Thank you.
It's an honor.
Means the world. Good.
Can we do a photo with your immediate family?
Okay.
And then
That would be good.
Immediate family.
Thank you.
Do you want to go on the other side of Vice President? Would that work?
That works. And the color.
Great.
Thank you. Good. Looking here again. Thank you.
Great. And you got some more folks here?
We have a mass coming.
Bring them
for
in.
you.
We'll get them all.
This is our nephew, Will, and his wife, Gina.
Hi, Gina. Will, great to meet you. It's my honor.
Their children, Hannah and Grant.
Anna, good to meet you. Nice to meet you. Grant, what a pleasure.
Our niece, Heather. Our nephew, There you go. My brother, Corey.
Hey, Corey. Congratulations to your family.
And his wife, Patty.
Hi, Patty.
Pleased to meet you.
Great to meet you, too.
Their son, Josh. His wife, Catherine.
Hi, Catherine. Josh, it's got a pleasure. Congratulations to you. Nice.
Joe Hack, dear friend.
Hey, Joe, good to meet you.
And good friends, Rochelle Mallet and Dusty Vaughn.
Dusty, good to meet you. What a great crew.
So you've got a big crew here.
We'll get them all in.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, set sideways?
Probably.
All right. All right. So come forward to me a tiny. It's been great. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do two photos. I'll do one here, and then my colleague up and above me will do one. So let me have you all look right here and off to the side. Excellent. Super. Looking right here. Sir, could I have you pull out just a little bit from behind you? There we go. Thank you. One more. And if you look up at Rosa right there.
Aha, bright lights.
Yes.
Rosa, back this way.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
She's the back.
Thank you.
Great.
She's
Senator,
honored to serve with you,
congratulations.
sir.
Oh, it's my honor to serve with you. Thank the world of her.
Good things.
Congratulations. We will, with her help. I promise you. It was nice with the water. I promise you. Thanks for giving me the honors.
This is my husband, Bruce.
Bruce, how are you, man? Good. Great to see you. They're going to have the Bible holder stand right in the middle. Okay. And what you're going to do is hold it up with your left hand. Right. All right. Do you solemnly swear you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that you bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that you take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which you're about to enter, so help you God?
I do.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I hope
Thank you so
as
much.
much as I did.
Oh, yes.
I really do.
Yes.
It was a great pleasure. Thank you. Thank you.
We have some family here. This is my mother.
Mom, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Now, how about this too? Because one thing they love to tell us, right? They love to tell us, well, see, you got to use your context clues. You got to use your context clues. You got to look at a person's character and say, is it in their character, right? Is it in their character? Now, I don't know Bruce Fischer at all. I don't know his character, but I know Maga. So let me ask you this. Is it in a MAGA's character to behave like this? Let me see. Is it in your character? Now, have y'all denigrated Kamala Harris's job performance?
And now we have these mega donors coming and saying, you squandered my money, you don't belong in politics anymore. We knew she didn't belong in politics a lot before that because she had no experience to speak of other than manufacturing and pathologically lying. But
I don't even want to talk about Kamala. Why?
Why would we waste our time? She doesn't even want to talk about herself. She tells us she grew up in a middle-class family. But I don't care, because it's families today in New York, in Chicago, in Philadelphia, in Milwaukee, in Phoenix. They are struggling because of Kamala Harris.
Have y'all denigrated her intelligence?
You know, I've never told you any of this, and I wanted to wait till the day because I don't want to have her. She's a low IQ individual. I don't want to have her say, you know, I had an idea last night while I was sleeping, turning, tossing, sweating. Because I sleep, I turn and I toss and I sweat and I sleep like no, I don't even sleep. You know, I've gone through 62 days.
Have y'all denigrated her character?
I think you just don't have anything great to say, so you're like, I'm just gonna leave it at what it is.
No, I think there's something else.
They
They
have
have a lot in common.
Dude,
I'll beep it out. Could you just like fill me in? No, I mean, look, Kamala Harris slept her way to the top, obviously, and we know that.
We're so stupid.
Yeah, Willie Brown. I mean, we know that. I mean,
have y'all denigrated her family?
For the last decade plus, I've been told, stunning and brave women's don't need no mans. Here's a bunch of our new models, these butt-fucking ugly weirdos over here with hairy armpits pretending to be chicks. They're your new Calvin Klein models, and they're stunning and brave. Look at this one. It's Doug Emhoff's daughter, everybody. The second gentleman's daughter, the stepdaughter of strong, empowered, lesbian, BIPOC Kamala Harris. No, she's a mentally ill fucking goofball like the rest of you dipshits.
Have y'all denigrated her ethnicity?
She was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She has always
But you know
identified
what?
as a black woman. She went to a historically black college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't.
How about her gender and being a woman?
You can walk into a room like this where people cheer when you step onto the stage, and you might think for a second that you're kind of special. Then you go home and your kids remind you very quickly you're actually not that big of a deal. My sweet daughter reaches up, pats my shoulder, and says, "It's okay, Mommy. One day you can be pretty too." So my kids keep me humble. Unfortunately, Kamala Harris doesn't have anything keeping her humble.
You have shown that there are absolutely no lines of decorum that you will not cross. You have shown no lines of decorum that you will not cross when it comes to attacking the left at large, but Kamala Harris specifically. So I am so sorry. You get absolutely no benefit of the doubt when things like this happen, because that's how y'all move every single day. In fact, the only times I've ever seen any of you guys check for having a line of decorum was Marjorie Taylor Greene checking Laura Loomer. Or was that Laura Loomer checking Marjorie Taylor Greene? How about Elon Musk calling y'all contemptible fools for your racism? And this is the same dude who had this to say about the person in question, Kamala Harris. So by virtue of your own behavior, Maga, this becomes a wild offense. That is the context that you have given to things like this. Now, as far as Kamala is concerned, not only did she handle it with an incredible amount of grace and class in the moment, but she didn't try and make it a social media thing. She hasn't commented on it. She hasn't tried to go viral. She has not Nancy Maced this moment at all. She has handled it with the utmost of grace and class, which, by the way, was how she handled the post-election. And it is something that is instructive, because that is what is continually asked of us in moments like this. You can behave like Bruce Fischer.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your work. Thank you. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. Okay, sure.
Okay. That way just a little bit. There you go. Okay.
But we have to always take it and handle it with grace. Not unlike the way that she handled all of the other things, all of the other attacks that she has suffered at the hands of MAGA. And now you see why there are so many of us that are sitting on the sidelines right now. Now you see why there are so many of us that are tired of continuing to participate in the distractions from the real struggles and the real battles that are going on, where you continually communicate how little respect you have for us. We, in fact, are tired. We don't always want to have to handle things like Kamala Harris handled this. I'm definitely very glad that she did, but now you see why we're at where we're at. Today's nominee, Brett Favre. We listen, we don't judge. Remember, we listen, we don't judge. I have something that's been on my heart that I've been wanting to convey to you. When I was growing up, I rooted for Brett Favre. I know. It hurts me too. Oh, it hurts me too. Y'all don't know what it was like growing up in DC as a card-carrying Cowboys hater during the triplet era. You have no idea just how painful that was. I was willing to take anybody that could knock Michael Irvin, Troy Aikman, and Emmitt Smith back to the doldrums where they currently sit. Which by the way, don't think that was going to go unmentioned. How that going for you, Cowboys fans? Huh? You still polishing up them old rings?
Yeah, I said it.
I was willing to accept absolutely anybody. So when Brett Favre came running barefoot out the bushes of Mississippi, I was more than happy to put on that green and yellow. And really, that era of my fandom has aged about as poorly as any. Really, it has aged quite poorly, because this man is not content to lean on his crumbling legacy. As much as we have found out in the later years about Brett Favre, which has changed our perspective on that era of time where John Madden was drinking his bathwater, so much we have heard and changed, but he continues to put himself out there time after time.
I talked to people that was in the room when Brett Favre went into the Hall of Fame, and nobody mentioned about text messages that he sent to that jet masseuse. Nobody mentioned anything about the addiction that he suffered from. But yet T.O., they brought up everything. Can you imagine if T.O. would have had an incidents like Brett Favre off the field? T.O. still to this day right now would not be in the Hall of Fame. Yet they walked right past it like Brett Favre did nothing.
That is true. Brett Favre, according to Mississippi Today, was found to be siphoning funds, welfare funds from the state of Mississippi with the help of former Mississippi Governor Phil Bryant to help build a volleyball stadium for the University of Southern Mississippi. It's important to point out that Favre's daughter plays volleyball for that college, and prosecutors are calling this a massive scheme to defraud the government. This is also weird because Favre is currently worth $110 million and made over $138 million while playing in the NFL, not including commercials and sponsorships. I'm making this video for some of you that had something to say about the undrinkable water in Jackson, Mississippi, and how they should help themselves. Well, maybe they could do that if the government wasn't currently defrauding them.
After time. And the timeline be treating him worse than the Bounty Gate Saints.
I mean, he just comes up, and Favre was working.
I mean, the timeline be lining him up like the Saints did in that NFC Championship game, and he just keep coming back. I don't understand.
Late, right? As Favre lets go of the ball.
He be out here saying stuff that make me want to draw up a free Jonathan Vilma billboard, and yet he keeps coming.
You see Hargrove, he comes right inside, and I think that was a bad call, you know, I mean.
Now, I personally have learned my lesson to ignore Brett Favre, so when he says things like this about the Biden medal recipients, I just keep it pushing. Although to be fair, I don't know if he was asking for words because he was truly speechless and shocked, or if he just needed to put some more words in his brain to help accentuate his vocabulary. Like I think that might have been a situation where he legitimately could not express himself and needed people to help him with his words. But ultimately, we're here to talk about this. I heard there was no televised national anthem for the Sugar Bowl. Instead, a DEI message by the Allstate CEO, woke is a joke. Now, how do you push forward with a whole tweet based on I heard? Based on I heard. You don't even know, apparently. By your own admission, you don't even know. You went with a whole tweet based on I heard. You're going to go all the way into the bag of DEI and woke as a joke based on I heard. Now it makes more sense why you were asking for words. Now, you know what I mean? Now it makes a whole lot more sense why you were asking for words. You should have asked for words before you put that tweet out, because that probably could have helped you. That probably could have helped you with your wording. Well, all legitimate and well-meaning and fully functional social media users reacted in the fashion in which you would expect. Did you sing the national anthem before you stole all that welfare money? You did that. No, you did that. You did that. You could have just sat there and collected your words, but you decided you wanted to post based on I heard, and now you got I heard the poor in Mississippi didn't get a lot of money because a former NFL QB used the money for a facility for his daughter's college. Shout out to Roland Martin for that one. You did that. Yeah, that was what you decided to set in motion. And by the way, since you had so much issue with I heard, let's go ahead and check out the message that was so objectionable. Why don't we?
Welcome to the Allstate Sugar Bowl. Wednesday, tragedy struck the New Orleans community. Our prayers are with the victims and their families. We also need to be stronger together by overcoming an addiction to divisiveness and negativity. Join Allstate working in local communities all across America to amplify the positive, increase trust, and accept people's imperfections and differences. Together, we win.
That was your DEI message? That was your DEI message. Okay, so let me get this straight, Maga, because if I were to say that y'all were addicted to divisiveness and negativity, and you should probably try and amplify the positive and accepting people despite their differences, you would object to that, wouldn't you? You would. You would object to that. If I said that y'all were addicted to divisiveness and negativity, you would object to that, wouldn't you? But yet, when somebody has a message denouncing those things, it's DEI. You boxed yourself in. You did it to yourself. We have moved the bar so far that just about anything that wouldn't have been considered overtly racist a decade ago is DEI. The DEI situation's so bad that in watching Miss America with my daughter, when a woman of color, a black woman, and an immigrant at that made it into the final 10 and then the final 5, I knew it was going to be DEI message. I already know. And look what we found. Y'all are so predictable. I mean, really, you are so predictable. Like, I say things like, oh, well, we can't exist in any spaces without you coming with DEI. There you go. Not only are you predictable, you can't help yourselves. Because you could have just sat there and minded your own crumbling legacy without having to hear about the poor in Mississippi didn't get a lot of money because a former NFL QB used the money for a facility for his daughter's college. Or did you sing the national anthem before you stole all that welfare money? You wouldn't have had to hear either of those things if you had sat there and minded your own business. But you couldn't do it. You couldn't do it. And Maga is very consistent with that because Megyn Kelly, after complaining for years about the accusations and the whispers about how she made her way up the corporate ladder, just couldn't resist throwing that exact same accusation and shade at Kamala Harris. You couldn't do it, could you? You couldn't do it. And that was something I didn't even know before you threw that shade. You aired yourself out. I ain't seen nothing that bad since, well, Jesse Waters decided to try and tell black people that, do you really want reparations or do you want a father in the home? Is that, don't you want a father in the home?
But I would ask, do you want a check for a few $1,000s or do you want a father who's in your life and married to your mother? Because if you have a father in your life, that check's gone after you cash it. You will, if you have a father, that is the single most determinative factor to financial success in this country. And that's what it should be about.
Which sounds rich from a father out the home. It sounds rich from a father out the home, which I didn't even know before you had to open your mouth and say something. Thanks for playing. But ultimately, we are here to talk about this from Michael Harriot, who's somebody, if you don't follow, you definitely should. I very much enjoy Michael Harriot's work, whether it be on his podcast or on the Griot. I always enjoy Michael Harriot. He went on a whole thread. If anyone knows anything about wokeness, CRT, the national anthem, and being a real American, it is Brett Favre. I'm interested. Continue. Brett Favre is a descendant of Simon Favre, the famous interpreter who could speak multiple native languages. Simon entered the family business at a young age and owned dozens of slaves and hundreds of acres. But that wasn't the family business. The Favres stole land. And here you have a section from Simon Favre's Wikipedia page where it very much mentions Brett. The scam worked like this. The Favres would move near a native tribe, earn their trust, and convince Native Americans that giving up their land and assimilating was in their best interest. In exchange, they could keep some of the stolen land. Simon was born for this. Now, the Favre started doing this before America even existed, so he initially worked for the French. Then he went to work for the Spanish king, and since he was getting paid in money and free land, he used his loot to buy two things: guns and slaves. Now, you would think that if you are a descendant from slave owners, and granted, there are a lot of people walking the streets of America today that are descended from slave owners. Most of them either are unaware of it, or we are unaware of it, or both. In this case, not only are you descendant from slave owners, we know you're descendant from slave owners. It's on Wikipedia. Yeah, it is. We see the crumbs, the slave owning crumbs, all in your car, on your lapel. I think they slid down between your pants and your jersey. The kind of stuff that gets stuck there and just stays there all season. We see the crumbs. You would think if the slave owning crumbs were visible to all of America, you might want to chill. You know what I mean? You would think. That's just me. Maybe it's me. You would think you might want to. You know what I mean? You might just. I'm just here to throw passes. You know what I mean? I'm just here to throw passes. Hopefully they never connect me to Simon. And if they do, I ain't gotta say nothing. You know what I mean? I'm just throwing passes. You know what I mean? Look how many brothers I done thrown the ball to. Because we ain't had no white receivers. But whatever. They ain't got nothing to do with it. He'd sell or even give guns to whichever native chief liked him best and convince his new friend that the government would work with him if they could prove they controlled the area. Of course, the leaders would use their new guns to vanquish their rivals and sign a worthless treaty. Then Simon would ignore the treaty and disperse the stolen land to white people. But Simon had a problem. He couldn't be trusted. He'd throw natives under the bus. He'd help natives rob white settlers. He helped France attack Spanish land and vice versa. And everyone knew it. Wow, that is quite a turncoat. That's the kind of man who would leave a career with the Packers and sign with the Vikings. You know what I mean? That's Simon was out here looking like an old Brett Favre. To be fair, Favre wasn't loyal to anyone. He was married but kept a side chick at every village. He called them wives, and some were daughters of chiefs. His marriages made him part of the tribe. Look, I'd never shame, but there's a whole section of his Wikipedia page devoted to his hoishness. Yeah, Brett's a Favre. Yeah, Brett. Yeah. That checks. That definitely checks. Many people know that the enslaved black people who fought on the British side in the War of 1812 for the promise of freedom. A few know that the Confederacy of Native Americans fought with the British who promised to return their stolen land. But do you know who didn't? The Choctaw. Tecumseh, the Native Confederacy leader, really wanted the Choctaw to help fight the white land thieves. But Pushmata, the Choctaw leader and perhaps the greatest of the warrior chiefs, wasn't buying it. Pushmata told Tecumseh to kick rocks. I know what you're thinking. What does this have to do with Brett Favre? Well, Brett Favre is not just a descendant of Simon Favre. He's a descendant of Alexander Favre, the son of Simon Favre and his Choctaw mistress. Guess who Alex married? Guess who convinced Chief Pushmata to not join Tecumseh and fight for their land? In exchange, the Choctaw got to keep their land until the U.S. invalidated the treaty and stole their land in the 1830s. To be fair, they didn't steal all the land. They didn't remove all the natives. The Favres got to keep their land. Now that is fascinating. I wonder why the Favres got to keep their land, but everybody else got theirs taken. That's crazy. Brett grew up there. After siding with the White Confederacy during the Civil War, the Choctaw were supposed to share their reparations with the black people they enslaved. They embraced the whites and purged the Choctaw freedmen from the rolls. One more again. After siding with the White Confederacy during the Civil War, the Choctaw were supposed to share their reparations with the black people they enslaved. They embraced the whites and purged the Choctaw freedmen from the rolls. To this day, the Favres brag about their native heritage, but not how he grew up on stolen land. He never mentions that his ancestors were literally the first diversity, equity, and inclusion officer because that's too woke. Now, I would say not only the crumbs of slave owning, but the crumbs of the Confederacy. The crumbs of the Confederacy. I would probably sit out Modern Affairs if I were Brett Favre. You know what I mean? Like I would just, you know, if I were him and I had all these connections that people done made to my family, my social media accounts would just be me signing autographs. You know what I mean? It'd be me signing autographs, running around in Wranglers and Tommy Copper socks. You know what I mean? I'm just here to sell Tommy Copper. Really, I'm just here to sell Tommy Copper. That's all. I throw passes to Jerry Rice in jeans. You know, that's all I got for you. At least that would make sense. Not Brett Favre. He won't mention that he played in a white school district where both his parents taught in the white town in the white county after his ancestors bamboozled black people out of their reparations. He won't mention that his family was not patriotic. That is CRT. Now, I've highlighted the rampant hypocrisy that is ingrained in Maga a great number of times, but it's the embracing the Confederacy who literally fought our government. Like, literally fought the federal government. Ooh, now I understand why Brett Favre was asking for words. Because I think all MAGA need to ask for words. They need to ask for a lot of words. They need to ask for a dictionary. He won't say that he received a free education because his white daddy and his white high school coach convinced his white college coaches to let him film the last roster spot. That is literally affirmative action. And here is a blurb from Wikipedia that says Favre was the last recruit Southern Miss signed in 1987, and then only because another quarterback reneged on his oral commitment. Carmody agreed to take him partly as a favor to Irvin Favre, Brett's father and the coach at North Hancock Central, who had himself played baseball at Southern Miss. Mark McHale, the Golden Eagles offensive line coach, had scouted Favre, but Hancock North Central ran an option offense and Favre had never thrown more than a handful of passes in any game. While the Star Spangled Banner might be about whatever white people think that song is about, to some it is the theme song for thieves. The third verse rejoices over God-endorsed land theft, history, and heritage. The fourth verse is literally a shout out to slavery. But here's the thing. I don't hate the national anthem. No one thinks Brett's parents didn't work. They're not just sitting back and enjoying the fruits of Simon's labor. It would be crazy to say that Brett Favre was not a great QB. Here's what happened. His family used the opportunities they were given. Simon probably worked hard to learn multiple languages. His children and grandchildren used their whiteness to assimilate. Brett used his God-given talent and hard work to become a Hall of Fame QB. That is how DEI works. Here's the thing that puzzles me. If y'all truly like a song about the land of the free and the home of the brave, why aren't y'all brave enough to tell the true story of how y'all got so much land, freedom, and all those homes? Well, Michael Harriet, it's probably because that would make too much sense. That would make too much sense. Like, if it were me and all of this were publicly available information that was out about me, I would just I wouldn't even be on social media. I would just be walking around handing out signed copies of that draft day photo. That's all I would do. But you get what you ask for, just like Megyn Kelly and Jesse Waters before you. I would like to first extend my love and send prayers out to all those that have been affected by the wildfires out in California. And as I previously stated, there is no disaster or calamity that is so significant, meaningful, sad, and impactful that it can't be infused and embedded with misinformation.
Tonight, anger and a search for where to put it. Los Angelenos are fighting through the worst days of their lives, and they're trying to figure out who to point the finger at to explain this gut punch loss that they are wading through right now. President-elect Donald Trump is faulting the governor, Gavin Newsom.
Gavin Newsom had an opportunity to have millions of gallons a week, a day, millions and millions of gallons come down from the north. And I was able to get him federal approval from that, from the Department of Commerce of all departments. I didn't realize it would go through Commerce. I would have thought environmental, but it goes through Commerce. I got all of the approvals, and he said, I don't want to sign it. I don't want the water.
But if just the basic politicizing of the fires wasn't enough, now we get this. Black men falsely accused of looting while evacuating wildfire. A video showing two black men carrying items out of a home during the California wildfires went viral, igniting accusations of them being looters. Critics of the premature accusations labeled them as rooted in racial bias. The California wildfires, exacerbated by dry conditions and high winds, have led to widespread devastation. More than 30,000 acres have burned, thousands of homes have been destroyed, and over 100,000 residents have been forced to evacuate. Amid the chaos, law enforcement officials have reported incidents of looting in evacuation zones and promised to hold those found to be looting to the fullest extent of the law. A video of men carrying bags of items away from a fire and a TV out of a house has gone viral on social media. One user whose post on X, formerly Twitter, has 3.5 million views, commented that the usual suspects are looting again. A community note was appended to the original post. Oh, well, that's good that they put a community note on there. Yeah, that is significant that they put the community note. And so the 3.5 million people, they will all see the community note. I hope you're paying attention, Facebook, because this is exactly what your platform about to look like. Huh? Oh, that was the idea. That was the idea, that stuff like this can spread before you can pull it. Oh, okay. All right. I got you. Let's take a look at that post, by the way. A community note on the post said the footage was from KTLA News and the people in it were a homeowner's family and friends. The homeowner told KTLA that her brothers were helping to salvage belongings from the property amid widespread evacuations in Los Angeles County. Quote, they told us to leave and we got what we could. We have dogs, we have animals, we just got what we could get. That's all we could do. We've got to start over. Let's check that out. While talking about her son, she told KTLA that her son got, quote, everything that was of value to his mother.
Caught fire?
Uh-huh.
So tell me what happened, how that played out.
They told us to leave, and we got what we could. We have dogs, we have animals. We moved that stuff, and then we waited to see. We waited across the street, and that rude guy right there, I yelled at him and cussed him out because he acted like he don't understand. Like, we trying to get our stuff. You going home tonight? We not. And we just got what we could get. That's all we can do. We got to start over.
And how many of y'all live here?
Me and my 3 kids.
You don't know where you're going next?
Nope, but I'm going somewhere.
Yeah, tell me, how did you get all these? So these all friends, family?
They are. My brothers work for the city of Pasadena. They wet the vegetation before the firefighters came. The Compton firefighters is the only ones who really put the water out here and everything. The city of Pasadena employees wet the vegetation and prevented it from getting all the fire out here.
So let me get this straight. These people are evacuating in a wildfire, trying to remove all the things that they possibly could, everything that's of value to his mother and all the relatives who came to try and help this woman to evacuate her house. And now have to deal with not only the accusations of being looters on the open internet, but what might come after that, since they are seen as being criminals roaming the streets. So it's not enough that you're dealing with the aftermath of a natural disaster, but now you have to duck and dodge anybody who might have gotten the wrong idea because it was posted to 3.5 million people and they just might have missed that community note.
I am tired of people speaking negatively about the black community. I'm tired of seeing fake headlines painting black people in a bad light to get some attention. I'm tired of people justifying their racism and hatred and diverting it to black people who, for the most part, mind their own business and positively contribute to society. Black people are a net positive to any community that gets the pleasure of being around them. Most black men and women are very upstanding individuals. Do you know the level of discipline most black families have to go through just to try to fit into America from back in the day? It doesn't matter how hard we try, how much we contribute, what we do, everything we accomplish, what we invent, no matter what, it still comes back down to this weird focus and obsession with hating black people. And I don't get it. This video is in response to the looting headlines circling LA. They're saying that looting is occurring in LA while these fires are going on. I'm sure there is. However, the only video that came out was a bunch of black people in a house moving stuff out of the house with fire trucks and policemen all around the house. So you truly believe that these people are robbing a house right in front of policemen and firemen? So the neighborhood is too nice. It can't be their house they're moving their stuff out of, very calmly, walking very slowly. What is this weird societal obsession with taking all your rage and hatred out on the black community? I don't understand it. We have put up with this all of our lives and it still continues today. It doesn't matter how successful we get. It doesn't matter how much we contribute. These are the same headlines that I saw as a kid that made me not want to be black.
And by the way, we have seen this before. Y'all remember what was happening during the hurricanes last year?
Nigga, done brought a team out here.
Obviously, he doesn't live here.
The reason why I asked you to live here is a private community, so if you don't live here, you need to leave. If you live here, you're visiting a friend, that's fine, just let us know, because you're getting neighbors concerned since you're walking around my house.
I'm not walking around your house.
Hold on, Steve. You've been past my house 4 times, I don't know you, I've never seen you here before, and you're walking past my house over and over again. So if you live here or you have a friend you're visiting here, that's fine.
I'm not in front of your house.
You're actually following me.
Laura Myers, who has nearly 70,000 followers on X, shared a screenshot of a post accusing the men of being looters and criticized people spreading the false footage. Other users said people making the assumption that the men in the video were looters was an example of racism. Well, let's see. How would it not be racism? Just like, you know that people are evacuating their homes, and I'm trying to figure out why this was not applied anywhere else. But now when you see the black people out now, was it the bag? Was it the brand of the bag? Was it the quality of the bag? Was that it? I'm trying to figure out why. Because the other one said the usual suspects, right? Is that what you said? Because if you wanted to convince me it wasn't racism, you definitely wouldn't have put the usual suspects are at it again. You told on yourself. I mean, really, I ain't seen anybody dry snitch like this since the people from the Brown Roundup openly admitted they were trying to take Latino homes.
Tonight, the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office confirms a racist letter circulating among local leaders. It calls for a, quote, roundup of brown people. The sender is unknown.
In a letter called the Brown Roundup Part 1, an unknown writer telling leaders in coastal Oregonian communities to track down, quote, brown people and to report them to the federal government next year.
Tariq Nasheed, film producer and internet personality, shared the video and wrote on X that degenerate online suspected white supremacists are falsely accusing black people who are helping their neighbors move their possessions to safety as being looters. Anybody object to any word there? Any objection? Any objection? I also of note, these must be the contemptible fools that Elon Musk was talking about when he said the racists in the Republican Party had to be rooted out. But somehow he quiet on this one though. Why he so quiet? Cause with the H-1Bs, he had so much to say about the racism, but now he must be in adult gym class. That's probably why he didn't say nothing about this race, because he in adult gym class. They learning how to jump up and down. Open source Intel, an ex-user with over 300,000 followers, apologized for sharing the video after learning that the people were evacuating their home and weren't looting. I'm now called racist, and that's fine, but just know I have absolutely nothing against people of color. Quite the opposite. Well, I appreciate the apology. The wording was a little interesting though. You have nothing against people of color, quite the opposite. So you saying you love people of color? Because that was an interesting way to show your love. Yeah, that is an interesting way for you to show your love by posting something like that. That is the kind of love that I am going to steer the youth away from. I'm just going to be honest. That's a toxic love right there. Local authorities have been on high alert to prevent looting in areas affected by the wildfires. Los Angeles County Sheriff Robert Luna confirmed 20 arrests related to looting and emphasized a zero tolerance policy. We're up to 20 individuals who chose to go into areas and deprive these poor people who have been through so much of their property, he said during a press conference, adding that more arrests could follow. I'm sorry, did you say 20? Like 20? So you put this all out there for the people to look out for, and there's 20? I think we had 20 looters today in DC. No fires or nothing. Catherine Barger, Los Angeles County Supervisor, during a press conference, I promise you will be held accountable. Shame on those who are preying on our residents during this time of crisis. DA of Los Angeles County, Nathan Hochman, in a video on X said, let me make it quite clear what's going to happen. The DA's office, working with law enforcement, is going to arrest you. They're going to prosecute you, and you'll be punished to the full extent of the law. That's a promise.
To those people that want to go up and loot, the full weight of the county will come down on you. And that's going to start with the district attorney who's issuing a press release and is going to make sure the full extent of the law is played out if you are caught looting in any area impacted by this fire.
Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, in a statement to Newsweek, said, "We understand the deep concerns Los Angeles County residents feel about the safety of their homes and belongings during this challenging time. Protecting their property is important, and we want to ensure them that the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department is actively patrolling evacuation zones to deter and address any criminal activity. However, the safety of the residents and their loved ones will always be the department's main priority. Remaining in areas under evacuation orders puts lives at significant risk, including the lives of first responders who may need to assist. We strongly urge residents to follow the evacuation orders set in place and trust that the department is doing everything to safeguard their communities. Authorities continue to patrol evacuation zones to deter further looting. With plans to implement curfews in heavily impacted areas, the Palisades fire and the Eaton fire, the two biggest burning in Los Angeles County now, are still burning and remain less than 10% contained."
What did you love and lose in the fire?
I lost everything. I'm a guy with everything to nothing. I lived my whole life helping people. And I didn't think it would happen to me, but it did. But I have my health and my life. About 10 or 12 years ago, I was going home, going up late, and I see this person sitting on the bench shaking, which I knew him anyway, because I coached him when he was in high school. He says, "Where's your jacket?" He says, "Coach, I don't have one." I said, "Okay, put that." I ended up giving all of my jackets away. A lot of people helped me when I was a kid, so that makes a difference. I used to have a sporting goods store. Then I started giving away shoes because when I was going to elementary school, I prayed many days if my shoes had holes in them, that they wouldn't break. So, it's short of money, I give them the shoes anyway. The young man today drove at least 200 or 300 people to see their houses, and I offered to give him some money for gas. And he says, "No, I won't take it, Bob, because you wouldn't take it." Maybe he's gonna be my replacement, which wouldn't be bad, you know? I'm one of these dumb guys that think you can save the world. I would think that way till I die. I've been knocked down before, but not like this. Times are tough, but I'm not giving up.
Just as I was saying that they are literally criminalizing our existence. We can't hold a job of any esteem without being accused of being a DEI, whether it's a bridge that collapsed and they could somehow blame the mayor, or maybe there's protests on campus and they could blame the university president, whether it happens to be a vice president who just so happens to be the person running against your orange Jesus. Whatever the case may be, you are a DEI if you are a black person and you're in any position of prominence.
Some of your own supporters, including Republicans on Capitol Hill, have labeled Vice President Kamala Harris, who is the first black and Asian American woman to serve as vice president and be on a major party ticket, as a DEI hire. Is that acceptable language to you? And will you tell those Republicans and those supporters to stop it?
How do you define DEI? Go ahead. How do you define
diversity, equity, inclusion?
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Is that what your definition?
That is
give me a definition then. Would you give me a definition
DEI.
of that? Give me a definition.
Sir, I'm asking you a question, a very direct question.
Define it for me if you
I just defined it, sir.
Here's my question. What is it that black people are able to do? What can we do? Because apparently we can't evacuate a fire now. That is not something that we are able to do. I recognize from the anti-DEI movement that we are not able to hold a job of any esteem without having our credentials ignored and then denounced. We just saw with Miss America, we can't win a pageant. We can't exist in a pageant at all, without that being DEI. We couldn't we couldn't walk down the street during a hurricane. We saw that we could not walk down the street during a hurricane. And as we've seen with the litany of other examples of things that we cannot do that have led to some terrible outcomes for Black and brown people just existing. Here we have a family trying to help a woman evacuate her house, and they're accused of looting. And not only are they accused of looting, because there's going to be bad actors among us, right? There's going to be bad actors among us. There are stone cold racists out there that are just waiting for a moment to accuse Black people of this kind of behavior. But our apparatus is set up to amplify and spread this stuff, which was why it got to where it did. We have a system set up to amplify this kind of lie. And based on the news that we just heard from Meta, this is only going to get worse.
Hey everyone, I want to talk about something important today, because it's time to get back to our roots around free expression on Facebook and Instagram. Here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes similar to X, starting in the US.
All of these systems and filters and all this kind of stuff are specifically tuned not to protect us. Why is it that free speech always seems to come at our expense? Why is that? Huh? Why free speech just seems to come at Black people's expense all of the time? Well, that is pretty curious. Wow. While at the same time, I'm having to hear about anti-DEI and the only racism is anti-white racism, right?
This is my favorite. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to tell you before I say it that it enraged me. There is a definite anti-white feeling in the country right now.
Oh, please.
Yeah, that's what he said. You know, sir.
No. Sir?
Yeah, sir. Nobody in your family was hung. Nobody in your family was chased because of the color of their skin. How dare you? There's no anti-white issue here.
Well, see, that's why we did the community note. We did the community note because for us to filter that would have been coming down on the author of that, who is presumed to be white. So that would be anti-white racism if we were to come down on that. So we let him spread the Black racism because we good with that.
We're going to rely on someone reporting an issue before we take action.
Now, I would like to issue, despite not being guilty of any of this, the apology that I know they will never receive from these right-wing trolls to this family for having to deal with this mischaracterization. I just find it fascinating that these accounts with all of these thousands and millions of followers never seem to lose their fervor for this kind of content, despite it being revealed to be false time and time and time again. It's kind of like facts don't matter. You know, it's kind of like the information doesn't matter. You've made up your mind the kind of image and ideas you want to project of the world, and you'll just say whatever in order to push that.
They are programmed to think and react to small stimuli in a certain pattern. You cannot change their mind. Even if you expose them to authentic information, even if you prove that white is white and black is black, you still cannot change their basic perception and their logic of behavior. Therapists have been screaming at the top of their lungs that this is what we're going through. A person who is demoralized is unable to access true information. The facts tell them nothing. Even if I showed them information with authentic proof, with documents, with pictures, even if you take them to a concentration camp, they will refuse to believe it until it hits them. Until literally they're the ones who are impacted. That is demoralization. That is where we're at right now. It goes on to say the next stage is destabilization.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to talk about that. Stay tuned. They got it so bad, they're gonna call this a whole DEI channel. You know, just by virtue of me being here. We can't live, we can't exist at all. Oh, and by the way, I got my jerseys back there because I'm celebrating 1,000 members here on the channel. There is a link in the description of all my videos if you would like to join. We'll also have an election to determine who exactly is the racist of the month. But we were just halfway done. I want to thank you guys so much for watching the video and send a very special shout out to everybody who attended our last Members Only Live. Who knows how life would have turned out for me if I would have had a perm. We were celebrating hitting the 1,000 mark and we're close to 2,000. So there's going to be a lot more where that came from. And by the way, you guys will enjoy the archive of all my past lives and videos, which is only growing. I'm also going to be rolling out some new emojis, some polls, so you guys can help me determine the direction of the channel. And if you would like to join, there is a link to membership in the description of all the videos. Now, I alluded to this a while back. Did you know that YouTube actually tells me who the most active subs are and members are on my channel? And I gotta send a shout out to y'all, because it's thanks to you guys' engagement that the content has been doing as well as it has. So I know everybody don't want their whole government out there, so I'm gonna split the difference. Shout out to Tanya S, Tyler H, Kev Z, Micah E, and Gloria B. I wouldn't be here without you guys. Also, if you guys haven't checked out my second channel, Way of Waters, I'm going to commence to posting content on there as well and talking to some folks that can hopefully help get my mind right so I can make it through the rest of 2025. We all gonna need it. Yeah, we all gonna need it. I know this may come as a shock and a surprise to some of you. They got Vivek! Oh, they got Vivek! Vivek Ramaswamy expected to depart Doge. Not Vivek Ramaswamy! Not this Vivek!
Did your father also take the citizenship test, and is your father a citizen?
He did not, and that's a choice that he has made for familial reasons, but my mother did, and I think that every immigrant who comes to this country in order to become a full voting citizen has to do the same. And I believe in being consistent about my policies where...
So your father is not a citizen of the United States?
He's not.
Okay. And your mother, when did your mom take the citizenship test? Was it before or after you were born?
After I was born.
After you were born. Okay.
After years of being in this, following the legal process of becoming a naturalized citizen, she followed it through the legal process. And
so
I think
you gained citizenship through birthright then?
Well, but you gain citizenship through birthright citizenship in that sense too, right? I mean, every American. So what I want to do is revive a vision of citizenship where every kid who enjoys...
I'm sorry, just to backtrack. So your father is not a citizen, your mother...
They came to this country legally. They were in this country legally. So my view is any kid who is born in this country of parents who are here legally, that's the scope of where birthright citizenship applies. And I think it's a very simple principle. The 14th Amendment says, subject to the laws and jurisdiction thereof. So anybody who is in this country legally, under the auspices of federal law and under the auspices of U.S. law, here legally, the kid of that person, whether they've been here for 5 generations, I don't know if that's your case or not, whether they've been here for 3, 4, 5 generations.
Too, actually, by the way.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Ramaswamy, President-elect Donald Trump's choice to co-lead the Department of Government Efficiency with entrepreneur Elon Musk, is expected to soon step away from the task force. Ramaswamy intends to announce a campaign for Ohio governor as soon as the end of January, multiple sources confirmed. Ramaswamy had no comment. Well, that's odd. If there's anything I know about Vivek Ramaswamy, he loves to have comment.
Think about who's moderating this debate. This should be Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, and Elon Musk
we'd have 10 times the viewership. Well, I want to laugh at why Nikki Haley didn't answer your question, which is about looking at families in the eye. In the last debate, she made fun of me for actually joining TikTok while her own daughter was actually using the app for a long time. So you might want to take care of your family first.
Leave my daughter out of your voice.
Your adult daughter. The next generation of Americans are using it. And that's actually the point. You have her supporters propping her up. That's fine. Here's the truth.
You're just
the easy
scum.
answer, do you want a leader from a different generation who's going to put this country first? Or do you want Dick Cheney in 3-inch heels?
All right, Mr.
In which case, we've got 2 of them on stage
Mr.
tonight.
Ramaswamy, thank you.
Well, I appreciate your views, man.
Reparations for Black Americans.
So here's my perspective. I was asked about this when I came to the south side of Chicago a year ago, and my position on this has not changed, is I'm against race-based reparations because I think it will create more division, not less.
Spread the message in this community.
Elegance. That's your wife.
That's right. You've seen her, yeah.
Simple elegance.
Thank you.
She doesn't have
She doesn't make a big production out of it.
She doesn't have an axe handles wide either.
No. She does her job. Exactly. Thank you. I appreciate it, guys.
So you're saying tonight that there's going to be a groundswell of support for you at the Iowa caucuses? There's going to be a groundswell, and that's going to propel you to a first or second place finish?
It's going to shatter the expectations. I think we're going to shatter the expectations that have been set for us. So I like where we sit. I think if you take where the mainstream media's polling narrative is, of having me just in the high single digits in Iowa, we're going to shatter that. And I'm going to leave the rest to January 15th. I think we have a good shot at winning the Iowa caucus. As of this moment, we are going to suspend this presidential campaign.
Now, I don't know about you, but I leave a position one of 2 ways, with or without comment. That's how you know. I have never left any place willingly without comment. That's all I that has not happened. Hey, baby, how come you not going to work this morning? I don't want to talk about it. I have no comment. People close to Musk have privately undercut Ramaswamy for weeks, frustrated with his lack of participation in the heavy lifting, according to sources familiar with the internal dynamics. Did they just attack your work ethic? Huh? Did they just call you lazy? Because it sound like they just called you lazy. You know what I mean? Vivek be taking too many breaks. Vivek be taking I was looking for Vivek to try to help me out with something, and he's standing out back in the breezeway eating Cheetos. Oh, you love to see it. You love to see it, because when we had something to say about that kind of treatment, this was you, Vivek.
I don't think racism is limited to one race, actually. But I also don't let it ruin my life. Have I stubbed my toe? Yes, I have. Is it pleasant when your toe is stubbed? No, it is not. But you don't let it ruin your life. So hardship is something that happens to you. Victimhood is a choice. Hardship is not the same thing as victimhood. And I reject the narrative of systemic racism because I think it is a fake, made-up concept.
There's been friction between the incoming rank-and-file Doge staff and Ramaswamy, the sources said, and Ramaswamy has been subtly encouraged to exit. Quote, Vivek has worn out his welcome, one person close to Trump said. Subtly encouraged to exit. I wonder what that subtle encouragement was. You just went and grabbed his jacket? Is that what it was? You just went and pulled his car up to the front and was like, hey, whenever you're ready, whenever you're ready, it's cool.
Get out! Hey you, leave the jacket and get out! Get out!
Ramaswamy recently met with Ohio's sitting governor, Mike DeWine, about the state's Senate seat left vacant by Vice President-elect J.D. Vance. But on Friday, DeWine announced he is appointing his lieutenant governor to the post. So wait a minute, you mean to tell me that your first lily pad out of Doge was to fill a Senate seat that had been vacated? Now, where have I seen that before? Wasn't that the plan for Byron Donalds to take over Marco Rubio's seat in Florida? Now Vivek Ramaswamy is supposed to take over the seat in Ohio, huh? So nice little placeholder situation you got going on. Now we gonna take care of you. Hey Vivek, Byron, we gonna take care of you. What we really need you to do right now is hold these spots so we don't lose them. You know what I mean? And then next election cycle, then we could do a proper election and get somebody white in there. But right now, but you could still say you was there for a minute or two.
Get out! Get out!
Ramaswamy, who sought the GOP nomination in 2024, was at Mar-a-Lago, the president's West Palm Beach, Florida estate, during the transition. Sources said he was spotted at the bar with Musk one day, scratching out plans for Doge on a napkin, but the pair haven't worked closely for a while, sources said. They didn't get this man no computer. They didn't give him a laptop, or they didn't give him no loose leaf. He writing on napkins? Wow. They really do need to slash the budget. They didn't even have a laptop for Vivek. Ramaswamy has made culture issues central to his political brand, railing against what he views as woke policies being imposed on corporate, academic, and government institutions. Even as Trump's primary opponent, Ramaswamy was reluctant to cross him and quick to offer praise. And yes, we have seen Vivek rail against woke quite a bit.
I have to be very clear about this. Transgenderism, especially in kids, is a mental health disorder.
Are there useless holidays? Do you think Juneteenth is a useless holiday?
I basically do. If you had told me that January 6th was in any way an inside job, the subject of government entrapment, I would have told you that was crazy talk. Fringe conspiracy theory nonsense. I can tell you now, having gone somewhat deep in this, it's not.
Vivek, so were you too woke? And that's why you wore out your welcome? You were a little bit too woke for everybody? No, cause see, they were too woke for me to be there. You know, for me to be there was woke. You know what I mean? Because, you know, I got the complexion for woke. So me being there was woke. So I had to leave so I could stand on business and they could be fully anti-woke. Despite its name, the Department of Government Efficiency is not expected to be a full-fledged federal agency. Trump said it, quote, will offer advice and guidance from outside the government and partner with the White House and Office of Management and Budget. Its goal is to offer advice on slimming down the federal bureaucracy, cutting federal spending, and restructuring federal agencies, according to Trump, who ordered Doge's work to be completed by July 2026. Before entering politics, Ramaswamy attended Yale Law School with Vance. He made millions as a hedge fund manager and by selling a stake in a biotechnology firm that he co-founded. So you mean JD didn't come help you out with that situation? He didn't? No, well, see, he tried, but Musk outranks him. You know what I mean? So that was easy. That was an easy overrule right there. Now here's an updated article. Vivek Ramaswamy will launch a campaign for governor in Ohio early next week and is parting ways with President Donald Trump's incoming Department of Government Efficiency, or Doge. Here's my favorite part. This is a quote. He's leaving Doge. He's going to announce early next week for governor. It became increasingly clear over the last week that pursuing the governor's race and running Doge was not compatible. He's leaving on good terms with Trump, Elon, and the team. You mean to tell me the position that he had and his safe face position were not compatible? Is that what you're telling me? Well, see, really, I wanted to be a point guard for the Chicago Bulls. You know what I mean? I used to watch Jordan and Pippen and them back in the day. I wanted to be point guard for the Bulls, but it turns out that being point guard for the Bulls was not compatible with my accountant position. In a statement, Trump transition spokesperson Anna Kelly praised Ramaswamy for having played a critical role in establishing Doge. He intends to run for elected office soon, which requires him to remain outside of Doge based on the structure that we announced today. We thank him immensely for his contributions over the last 2 months and expect him to play a vital role and making America great again. man, they really going all out for that 2 months. I'm surprised they didn't get him a rocket chair. Now, whatever happened to that Senate seat that he was supposed to hold for Trump and the Republicans in them? Ramaswamy was taking himself out of the running for the appointment to the Senate vacancy in Ohio left by J.D. Vance, but Ramaswamy resurfaced as a late contender for that job, meeting last week with Ohio Governor Mike DeWine, who eventually selected Lieutenant Governor John Husted. Man, that is wild. I wonder why they picked Husted. Man, that is wild. You know what I mean? Well, he should do well, running for governor, assuming that it's not too many Ann Coulters in Ohio.
So, Ann, thanks for coming on, and I'm looking forward to our conversation today.
Me too. Thanks for having me. That was a fantastic opening monologue. I, too, am a fan of yours. So I'm going to make a point of disagreeing with you so that it will be fun. You are so bright and articulate, and I guess I can call you articulate since you're not an American Black. Can't say that about them. That's derogatory. And that was a great opening segment. Lots of things to talk about there. Oh, and I agreed with many, many things you said during, in fact, probably more than most other candidates when you were running for president. But I still would not have voted for you because you're an Indian. We'll get back to that.
That move quickly upended the 2026 race for governor, as Husted was considered a leading candidate to succeed DeWine, a federal Republican who was term limited. Two other GOP officials with statewide name recognition, State Attorney General Dave Yost and State Treasurer Robert Sprague, were already plotting their own bids for governor, and Ramaswamy's signals last week that he was about to join them only accelerated their preparations. Now, let's take a look at Yost and Sprague. I don't know, Vivek. I don't know. That's looking tough. Ramaswamy mingled with Ohio Republicans at their inaugural ball here Sunday night, but he left conspicuously early, according to 3 attendees who were granted anonymity to share details of the private event. His appearance struck these Republicans as unusually perfunctory for someone about to launch a campaign for governor. Quote, he can't bother to spend more than 45 minutes with 1,400 of the most influential Republicans in Ohio, a GOP leader said in the state. It's next level arrogance. Did they just call you uppity? Huh? Sound like they just called you uppity. I know. We tried to tell you about that.
Let's keep going. Okay, so then the last thing that we have here, it just seems like you are not a team player. You never assume the position of compliance when Elon walks into the room. You're supposed to be on your knees asking what he needs done next. Okay, look, this department is supposed to be the Department of Efficiency that is efficiently run by 2 people. We are both supposed to be in charge. I do not have to get in the position. Trump is lower than us. Okay, so he should have to get in the position, but I don't have to. Me and Elon are on the same level. Angry man at work. This seems very right according to the demographic.
Oh, we got this. The real reason Elon Musk forced Vivek Ramaswamy out of Doge. Now we talking. He was pushed out of the department because his vision didn't align with shadow president Elon Musk, according to an exclusive report from the Washington Post. Earlier reports said Ramaswamy exited the cost-cutting department over clashes with rank-and-file members. Someone close to Trump had said that Ramaswamy had worn out his welcome. Yeah, man, Vivek all in Mar-a-Lago talking about what y'all playing? Why don't y'all put some hip-hop on? We like, nah, ain't nobody trying to, you know what I mean? He just didn't vibe with the culture of the place. You know what I mean? He didn't, he putting spices on the food. And it seems that held true up to the ranks. They've been wanting Vivek to step aside so Elon could have more control. One person briefed on the matter told the Post. There was tension, and then they had an out and kind of took the out. And here you have a link to another article. Trump forced Vivek Ramaswamy out of Doge for being too irritating, it turns out. Vivek Ramaswamy is too annoying even for Donald Trump. So it wasn't enough that they're gonna push you out and try and slide you into a placeholder position. They're gonna kneecap you on the way out. You love to see it. Yeah, you love to see it. Cue the music.
I never thought that was leave my face. No, I never thought that was leave my face. We bonded over bigotry, but they weren't supposed to turn on me. No, I never thought that was leave my face.
But they are. Now, Vivek is one for that blind meritocracy. He loves to talk about the colorblind meritocracy, and now that he has exited Doge, let's take a look how that blind meritocracy is looking these days. Yeah, that's colorblind. All right, that's colorblind. Well, see, I don't see color. I don't see color, so I don't even know what color the people were in that photo. Yeah, I have no idea. Were they all white? Well, really, because color don't even matter. So I can't even say that they were white people. Like, you know what I mean? Like it don't even matter. You know, he just plucks people up at random and they come out how they come out. You know, it's just. Hey, Vivek, when you're on the train on the way back to Ohio, a couple of things that you might want to check out. You know, a couple just some light viewing. You know, for the train.
This is for Vivek Ramaswamy. If you are not Vivek Ramaswamy, please scroll. Token spent. Buddy thought he was going to have an office in the White House.
Vivek Ramaswamy is the first victim of Doge, the department he was co-heading with Elon. They're so good at creating government efficiencies, they got rid of the second partner in charge of finding them. He's officially out now, Charlie, and Politico reporting that it was because he got on people's nerves everywhere in Mar-a-Lago, they say.
Snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity.
I hope you enjoy it, because I did. Today's nominee, Elon Musk. No, that can't be right. It says he should go back to South Africa. Why do we have South Africans, the most racist people on earth, white South Africans, making any comments at all on what goes on in the United States? From Steve Bannon? Steve Bannon is the one who called out the racists of the week? Cue the music!
Are we gonna do it? I never thought that was leave my face. No, I never thought that was leave my face. We bonded over bigotry, but they weren't supposed to turn on me. No, I never thought that was leave my face.
But they are! Let them fight! No, let them fight! Now, Steve Bannon has been on Elon Musk's neck for a minute.
He's got a glass jaw. He can't take because of the autism or where he's on the spectrum. He's clearly not. He's got the maturity of an 11-year-old. You can tell that. But it's obvious. He can't take criticism. One of his weaknesses is that he needs to be loved. He needs the masses to love him. You can tell he's on the stage. He needs that glory.
This one was always fascinating to me. I never imagined that Elon Musk, once it was apparent how he operates his platform, would be able to attract as many sycophants as he does. I can't imagine waking up in the morning, wiping the crust out my eye, brushing my teeth, because that's the thing I say I do, even though I don't, and putting on a shirt and shoes, presumably these people have clothes on, and spending my day on X praising Elon Musk, knowing that that's the only way I can continue to survive on that platform. Like, how do you not have more pride about yourself than that? That would be like taking another man's name and putting it on your flag and hat and mud flaps and making that your entire personality.
But he's owned by the Chinese Communist Party. What are you talking about? Tesla, his only thing of real value is Tesla. He uses it for margin loans. He sells the stock. The Shanghai joint venture is 100% controlled by the CCP. This is why he never goes after the CCP. This is why he always backs off. This is when they had the protest. They had the protest about the lockdowns of COVID. He will not do it. Elon Musk is a total and complete phony. He is in bed in a business partner. He's done some good stuff, letting stuff out. With Taibbi and others, it's fine. But he is owned lock, stock, and barrel by the Chinese Communist Party, and he acts like it.
And apparently, one of the things that we have learned is that America first doesn't necessarily mean not compromised by other countries. Those two things are apparently not mutually exclusive.
Crony capitalism and Elon Musk. And by the way, when we cut him off, he went begging the CCP, and that's why they have the joint venture in Shanghai, the Tesla, which is 100% of his value, right? This guy lives on government contracts and taxpayer subsidies, okay? It's all, we're going to get Joe Allen in here for a second to transform it. Elon Musk, once again, brother, I'm smart enough to tell you no to your face, and I'm evil enough to be able to expose you as a running dog for the greatest enemy this nation's ever had. You're a war profiteer. You're sleeping with the enemy, brother, and you've been doing it because you're not an American nationalist. You're not even an American. All you are is a globalist, okay? A globalist. And you will go where anybody writes you a check, and you would take it from Adolf Hitler himself because you're taking it from people that are as bad as Adolf Hitler.
Steve Bannon, did you just call Elon Musk a welfare queen? He cooking now. No, he cooking.
He's going up on Twitter and saying he's going to drive by Zuckerberg's house and they're going to fight in the backyard. I mean, this guy's a man-child. This is a man-child. This is a deeply disturbed individual. The X thing, and I will break it down in shows to come, but that's a whole Aleister Crowley. He's been obsessed with turning these companies into the word X. He tried to do it. PayPal's done his whole life. That's an Aleister Crowley direct occult.
Who would win in a fight between Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg? That is tough. I mean, the defenders of Elon Musk have had to assert post-salute that he does not have full control over his body. And that is something that we actually saw with the whole jump. So if you want to call it that. But then Mark Zuckerberg, when last seen, had the sorriest chain I have seen since 87. Like, I guess I would go Zuckerberg in seven rounds.
I've said many times that Elon came and Elon's money helped organize the grassroots effort. In his engineering mind, he saw what the problem was as we saw it, and he supported it. And for that, he gets a place at the table. There's no doubt. You should. It's $250 million in June, not an entire cycle, in 5 months. But that dinner with Sachs and that check from Elon came at Biden's, when Biden, in the debate or right before the debate, and Biden, they kind of saw the numbers of where this thing was heading. They're recent converts, and we love converts. Hell, I'm a Catholic. We used to be in the convert business. Not so much anymore. We can't keep what we got. But in the old days, half the saints are missionaries. We love in converts. But the converts sit in the back and study for years and years and years to make sure you understand the faith and you understand the nuances of the faith and understand how you can internalize the faith. Don't come up and go to the pulpit in your first week here and start lecturing people about the way things are going to be. If you're going to do that, we're going to rip your face off. Because you can't beat us. We're not beatable. This army of the awakened is not beatable because we're relentless and we will never surrender and we will never slow down. And yes, if you go low, we'll go to the center of the earth.
That's right, converts. Y'all sit in the back. He talking to Zuckerberg, he talking to Bezos, and he's definitely talking to Elon Musk. And as long as he also made clear, I hope the Democrats were paying attention. You heard him say, you go low, we go to the center of the earth, right? I'm just making sure y'all heard that, because they've been hovering pretty close to the center of the earth up to this point. I'm just making sure that y'all understand what it is. Now let's get into this particular article. Steve Bannon calls Elon Musk a, quote, evil guy, vows to stop his influence over Trump. Ooh, those leopards are hungry. President-elect Donald Trump's former chief strategist Steve Bannon said Elon Musk is a truly evil guy and vowed to, quote, take this guy down in an interview that exposed a rift in Trump's orbit over the influence of the world's richest man. I will have Elon Musk run out of here by Inauguration Day, Bannon told an Italian newspaper in an interview last week, adding that the billionaire tech entrepreneur won't have full access to the White House. Now, this interview actually came from mid-January, but one thing that we know is that, in fact, did not happen. So, it's looking grim, Steve Bannon. I'm just saying. That don't look good. Before, because he put money in, I was prepared to tolerate it, Bannon said, referring to the $250 million Musk contributed in the 2024 campaign to help Trump's election. I'm not prepared to tolerate it anymore. Now, Elon Musk, what he is articulating is it was purely because of the money that your presence was even allowed. Now, as somebody that is wealthy and, how shall I say, socially confused, somebody who struggles with basic graces, this has to be something that you have confronted before. Just so you know, he just told you we only tolerating the rich dude because he paying for everything. And if you're wondering, this is what this man looks like who said he's just tolerating you because you paying the bill. He said you're not cool enough to kick it with Maga. That's what he said. You gonna take that? Huh? You gonna take that? This is, what table would this be? It's not the nerds. What table would this be? It's not the jocks. It's definitely not the jocks. It's not the nerds. Is there a farmer's table? And if you're scoring at home, this ain't even the cool kids saying that the rich guy has to pay his own way to sit with them. This is general population who's saying that. These are the long hairs saying that you need to pay your way to sit with them. Bannon made the comments amid an ongoing dispute over H-1B visas opposed by Bannon and other far-right Trump loyalists, but backed by Trump's tech supporters. Trump last month said he backs the skilled worker visa program after Musk said he will go to war to defend the program for foreign workers at tech companies. You 0-2, Steve. You 0-2. No, because you said you was going to get him out of here before inauguration, and Trump done back to H-1Bs. I mean, he kind of told you what it is. Honestly, it looks like they offering up your spot at the table. Since Trump's election victory in November, Musk has quickly become an influential voice in the incoming Trump administration. Musk is co-leading an effort dubbed the Department of Government Efficiency to cut wasteful spending in the federal government. Huh? Is that Vivek Ramaswamy? Oh, he must be coming to get his things. Did you put his things downstairs? Yeah, okay. Hey, it's in a box in the lobby. Yeah. We got it all. Quote, he should go back to South Africa. Why do we have South Africans, the most racist people on earth, white South Africans, making any comments at all on what goes on in the United States? Steve Bannon, you told this man go back to Africa. You told this man go back.
I wish one of y'all would just start laughing, because y'all know you think this is funny.
This thing got good. Oh boy, this thing got good. This is the part where I take my phone out. Start videotaping for posterity's sake. You told that man go back to South Africa. Let him fight. No, let him fight. Hey, Elon Musk. Yeah, you heard he said go back to Africa. Yeah. And he said you got a big nose. Yeah. And he said something about your lips. Now, a couple things. He mentioned the most racist people on earth, white South Africans. Did not mention anybody else by name, but a couple people come to mind.
The Financial Times ticks them off. We have Elon Musk, who lived in South Africa until he was 17. David Sachs, the venture capitalist who left as a child and who has become a fundraiser for Donald Trump and a troll of Ukraine. Peter Thiel, an early Trump backer who spent years of his childhood in South Africa and Namibia, where his father was involved in uranium mining as part of the apartheid regime's drive to acquire nuclear weapons. And a lesser-known Paul Ferber, a South African software developer and tech journalist living near Johannesburg, who has been identified by two teams of forensic linguists as the originator of the QAnon conspiracy, an allegation Ferber denies.
And as far as, quote, the most racist people on earth, that tracks as well.
Their formative experiences in apartheid South Africa. Now, we in America are facing a moment when our politics are turning into their politics. MAGA is sounding more and more like the old Afrikaner parties, ranting about low birth rates, going after immigration and portraying immigrants of color as violent savages. The idea that democracy will end if their white male patriarch is not elected.
But here's my problem, Steve Bannon. Now they racist. Right? Now that you're having issues with the now they racist. You wasn't calling them the most racist people on earth with this whole anti-DEI movement, right? When he was calling out the black pilots, it wasn't most racist people on earth, was it? No. When we couldn't qualify for any position of esteem in our society, they weren't the most racist then. When he allowed all manner of trolls back on his platform, they weren't the most racist then. Now, all of a sudden, they're the most racist people on earth. I ain't seen nothing this transparent since Elon Musk called his own Twitter users contemptible idiots in saying that the racism has to be rooted out of the Republican Party purely because of opposition over this same issue on the H-1B. Oh, really, Elon Musk? Now they're racist. Now they are racist. See, what it is see, anti-blackness is excluded from the racism. You know, we have excluded the anti-blackness from the racism because we don't see color when it comes to black. We are a colorblind society, but only for brown. You know what I mean? So with regards to y'all's issues, we are colorblind. We don't see color, so that's excluded from the racism. But when it comes to being anti-other races, then that's what we talking about now. Musk and Bannon could not be reached for comment. The Trump transition team did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Musk, a naturalized U.S. citizen born in South Africa, has held an H-1B visa, and his electric car company Tesla obtained 724 of the visas last year, Reuters reported in December. H-1B visas are typically for 3-year periods, though holders can extend them or apply for green cards. We found out a whole lot in December, now didn't we?
In fact, when they did fund us, they realized that we were illegal immigrants.
Well, I mean,
yes, we were.
I'd say it's a gray area.
Yeah, yes, we were. We were illegal immigrants.
Bannon said tech overlords like Musk use H-1B visas to their advantage, arguing 76% of engineers working in Silicon Valley are non-Americans. This is the central part of getting our jobs and economy back, said Bannon, who served as CEO of Trump's 2016 presidential campaign, and then for about 8 months as chief strategist inside the first-term Trump White House. These are the best jobs out there. No blacks or Hispanics have any of these jobs or access to these jobs. And that 8 months that he spent there was laughable till the 2 months that Vivek spent at Doge. He basically can get a pension compared to what Vivek did. Is that Vivek Ramaswamy? Bannon, who runs a podcast called Steve Bannon's War Room, served 4 months in prison after being convicted for contempt of Congress for defying a subpoena from the House committee that investigated the attack on January 6th. Bannon said Musk has the maturity of a little boy and lost credibility among many of Trump's supporters with his defense of the H-1B visa program. He said Musk is only worried about making money. Quote, quite frankly, the people around Trump are tired of it. We've seen peak Elon, his intrusive nature, his lack of understanding of the true issues, and quite frankly, his support of just himself. The sole objective is to become a trillionaire. That is his objective. Now, how is it? And I don't disagree with anything that you said, Steve Bannon, but how are you coming to these conclusions about Elon Musk, but absolving Trump of all of the same things? Specifically considering that Trump has backed Elon Musk on this very issue. It's looking kind of leaky. Your case is looking kind of leaky, Steve. I'm be honest. Steve Bannon, your case is about as solid as that prison cell that you just walked out of. That is it's not looking good. Bannon added that Musk will do anything related to make sure that any one of his companies is protected or has a better deal or he makes more money. His aggregation of wealth and then through wealth, power, that's what he's focused on. The American working people in this country are not going to tolerate it. But you know who is? Donald Trump. Yeah, Donald Trump is going to tolerate it. In fact, I believe Elon got a shout out at inauguration. Yeah. Donald Trump is going to tolerate it. The question is, are you going to tolerate Donald Trump's toleration of it? Apparently you will. So all this nonsense about the working people of this country, yeah, it's not, no. They are not standing on any type of business, Steve. Despite the fact that I agree with a lot of what you said, you ain't going nowhere with it. This is also a strand of populist economics. Bannon said on the air he wants to cut taxes for the working class, yet raise taxes on the wealthy. Good luck with that. Trump and the Republicans instituted tax cuts for the wealthy in his first term, and he has proposed extending them in his second. So you gonna call that out, right? Huh? You gonna... No? Oh, okay. So this is all just lip service? Gotcha. Okay. In our conversation, Bannon insisted the billionaires who contributed millions to the inauguration are not buying influence, but being used as trophies by the new president. They're not there because they support Trump. They're there because the Trump movement and President Trump broke them. Now, he wouldn't say nothing. He wouldn't say nothing like that. Everybody understands the hierarchy and what it is. Yeah, no, he actually said that on camera?
He was banned from their platforms for, I think, 18 months. But as soon as Zuckerberg said, I've been invited and I'm going, the floodgates opened up and they were all there knocking, trying to be supplicants. So I look at this, and I think most people in our movement look at this as President Trump broke the oligarchs. He broke them, and they surrendered. They came and said, we'll take off any constraints. There'll be no more checkings, everything. And when Biden talks about that, they create the oligarchs. They only became oligarchs, and they flipped on them when they had surrendered, and now they're going to come to Trump saying, I view this as September of 1945, the Missouri, and you have the Imperial High Command, the Imperial Japanese, and he's like Douglas MacArthur. They're there to. That is an official surrender, okay? And I think it's powerful.
See what it is. See, Trump is not indebted to these billionaires. No. See what it is. See, Trump is drowning them in money. You know what I mean? So Trump is giving them tax breaks so that they got so much money that they get distracted. Like the same way that Trump floods the zone with information, the same way that he floods the media with so much information they don't know what to cover. That's what he's doing with the billionaires and money. He just flooding them with money because they are broken and they are not going to be able to handle this much money. You know what I mean? So Trump is standing on business. He you know what I mean? That's the only reason why he gave them the tax break, to drown them with money, because he knows we can't handle it. You know what I mean? He knows we not equipped to handle having that money right now. So that's why. Bannon also said that Musk didn't believe in the underlying tenets of self-governance, and he won't have a blue pass with full access to the White House. He'll be like everyone else. Bannon, does it look like he got a blue pass with full access? Look like. Matter of fact, he not only does he have access, he has office space in there. Yeah, he got space. Now, I, for one, welcome the fact that Steve Bannon is raising the alarm about the rampant racism that is apparent on his side of the aisle, the same way that I was happy to see Elon Musk do it. At the same token, as nonsense as it was when Elon Musk did it, because he had allowed so many of these knuckleheads back on his platform and it amplified so much racism, with Steve Bannon, the degrees that you're willing to twist yourself and your logic to protect Trump from all of the things that you are accusing Elon Musk of is wild. I haven't seen twists like that since they did your hair in the yard.
Today blamed the diversity elements, but then told us that you weren't sure that the controllers made any mistake. We then said perhaps the helicopter pilots were the ones who made the mistake.
It's all under investigation.
I understand that. That's why I'm trying to figure out how you can come to the conclusion right now that diversity had something to do with this crash.
Because I have common sense, okay? And unfortunately, a lot of people don't.
But what we absolutely know is that it is not women working at the FAA that caused that crash. What we definitely know is it is not black employees at the FAA that caused that crash.
What he has said is not only unprofessional, unpresidential, inconsiderate of the status of this investigation, but frankly, it is just unhinged.
Unfortunately, in America, in 2025, there is nothing so sacred as we can't start the process of investigation with a little bit of misinformation, or in this case, a lot of it.
The FAA, which is overseen by Secretary Pete Buttigieg, a real winner. That guy's a real winner. Do you know how badly everything's run since he's run this Department of Transportation? He's a disaster. He was a disaster as a mayor. He ran his city into the ground, and he's a disaster now. He's just got a good line of bullshit. The Department of Transportation, his government agency charged with regulating civil aviation. Well, he runs it, 45,000 people, and he's run it right into the ground with his diversity.
Meanwhile,
So Donald Trump shut down an airline safety committee during the first couple days of his presidency, one that oversaw safety issues at airports. Here is the headline from last week. I think it's time to give this a read. Quote, Trump guts key aviation safety committee, fires head of TSA and Coast Guard. The committee will technically continue to exist, but it won't have any members to carry out the work of examining safety issues at airlines and airports. Also, 8 days ago, Donald Trump signed another executive order to freeze all air traffic control hiring. Here is that report. Let's give the headline a read. Quote, Trump's dangerous freeze of air traffic control hiring. And in that report, a ranking member on the House Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure warns that this freeze will lead to safety issues. So there is no correlation so far with any of these executive orders and the fatal crash that just occurred in Washington, D.C., but I thought I would put this information out there. Yeah.
First Secretary Duffy, have you been in touch with the air traffic controllers who were in the tower at the time of the crash?
I have not.
You have not.
Is there an acting FAA director? Mr. President, was there a shortage of staff at the control tower at DCA last night? You're aware of?
Well, that's part of competence right there. They shouldn't have that happen. Right there is what I'm talking about. Competence would be you're not going to have a shortage, but if you had the right people, you wouldn't need as many people either.
Do you know if there was a shortage last night or not?
I don't know. No, I don't know. You're telling me something.
Are you saying this crash was somehow caused and the result of diversity hiring? And what evidence have you seen to support these claims?
It just could have been. We have a high standard. We've had a much higher standard than anybody else. And there are things where you have to go by brain power. You have to go by psychological quality, and psychological quality is a very important element of it. These are various very powerful tests that we put to use, and they were terminated by Biden, and Biden went by a standard that's the exact opposite. So we don't know.
We don't even yet know the names of the 67 people who were killed, and you are blaming Democrats and DEI policies and air traffic control and seemingly the member of the U.S. military who was flying that Black Hawk helicopter. Don't you think you're getting ahead of the investigation right now?
No, I don't think so at all. I don't think with the names of the people, you mean the names of the people that are on the plane, you think that's going to make a difference?
Does it comfort their families?
They are a group of people that have lost their lives. If you want a list of the names, we can give you that. We'll be giving that very soon. We're in coordination with American Airlines. We're in coordination very strongly, obviously, with the military. But I think that's not a very smart question.
But are you
I'm surprised coming from you.
Are you blaming your
Yeah, please, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. We see like everyday life that very often those diversity hires cause sometimes issues, as you just mentioned. So what plan do you have? Are we going to see some fire? Are you going to fire some of those diversity hires in the federal government? What plan do you have?
I would say the answer is yes. If we find that people aren't mentally competent. You see the language. The language is put out by them. And if you see that, I'm not going to bore you by reading it again, but these are not people that should be doing this particular job. They'd be very good for certain jobs, but not people that should be doing this particular job.
Today, blamed the diversity elements, but then told us that you weren't sure that the controllers made any mistake. We then said perhaps the helicopter pilots were the ones who made the mistake.
It's all under investigation.
I understand that. That's why I'm trying to figure out how you can come to the conclusion right now that diversity had something to do with this crash.
Because I have common sense, okay? And unfortunately, a lot of people don't. We want brilliant people doing this. This is a major chess game at the highest level. When you have 60 planes coming in during a short period of time, and they're all coming in different directions, and you're dealing with very high-level computer work and very complex computers. And one of the other things I will tell you is that the systems that were built, I was going to rebuild the entire system, and then we had an election that didn't turn out the way it should have.
We need to get to the bottom of what happened. Nobody's going to know today what caused that crash. But what we absolutely know is that it is not women working at the FAA that caused that crash. What we definitely know is it is not black employees at the FAA that caused that crash. There are some true things. President Trump forced out of office the administrator of the FAA. He's been waging a regular assault on public employees since he came into office. He forced the entire Aviation Security Review Board, Advisory Board, to step down.
He showed up with one message: it's DEI's fault. Then Hegseth says DEI, then Duffy says DEI, and then J.D. Vance, maybe playing a little bit of cleanup, says, well, if it wasn't DEI in terms of the pilots it's very stressful to work with people when we have these kinds of DEI policies. DEI is not a scapegoat for everything.
When you don't have the best standards in who you're hiring, it means on the one hand, you're not getting the best people in government, but on the other hand, it puts stresses on the people who are already there. We want to hire the best people because we want the best people at air traffic control, and we want to make sure we have enough people at air traffic control who are actually competent to do the job. If you go back to just some of the headlines over the past 10 years, you have many hundreds of people suing the government because they would like to be air traffic controllers, but they were turned away because of the color of their skin. That policy ends under Donald Trump's leadership because safety is the first priority of our aviation industry.
Meanwhile, so like J.D. Vance, I am a former Marine who used their GI Bill to attend Yale University. Here's my degree right there. And like J.D. Vance, who attended Yale Law School, I was there at the same time as him. We actually sat on the board of the Yale Veterans Association, which is an alumni association. And we both were able to be recipients of DEI efforts at Yale University. At the time that I was a student, there were only 5 veterans in my entire program. There are currently 25 in the Divinity School program now. In the undergraduate program, there are about 8 veterans. In the Eli Whitney program, there are currently about 15. Now, the law school, where J.D. Vance was a student, he was one of about 6 students at the time at the law school. Currently, I'm pretty sure their numbers are in the 20s or the 30s when it comes to veterans. So these efforts to increase and push diversity, equity, and inclusion is something that benefited J.D. Vance. And he is now turning around and he's pulling the ladder up so that people like him who grew up in poor Appalachia, who joined the Marines, who were able to use the GI Bill, are no longer able to follow in his footsteps because he wants to remove the same DEI programs that got him to where he is today.
Is there any reason to believe there was any foul play here?
Well, at this time, you hate to jump to any conclusions. Obviously, we'll look at everything, check all the boxes. I had just taken off from D.C. Before the crash, and of course, it came across my cell phone, and I saw it and was horrified. So prayers go out to all those impacted. But, to your point, I think you have to look at this with eyes wide open, see what happened. Human error, was it some sort of equipment failure? Did DEI play a role in this type of thing? So I think you look at it.
For a lot of conservatives, they believe DEI just means black people getting jobs. And so when they see a black person in any job, they say, oh, that person's a DEIer. They said it about the literal elected vice president of the United States.
Absolutely.
She wasn't hired. She was hired by the American people. 80 million Americans voted for her, but they can't see through her race and gender.
We are still trying to find out what happened. That did not stop Trump this morning from holding a press conference and saying that President Biden caused the crash. President Obama also caused the crash, who hasn't been in power since 2016. That would be 9 years ago. Secretary Pete Buttigieg, Secretary of Transportation, who's no longer in power, caused it as well. Diversity programs caused it, hiring minorities. And Trump, interestingly, and I think, not most disturbingly, but disturbingly, blamed it on the military pilot. He said the military pilot of the helicopter caused the crash. We don't know that. He doesn't know that. There's no evidence at all to suggest that. We don't know what happened. We don't know what happened with both of them. The plane caused the pilot error, air traffic control error. Very disturbing. Particularly Trump's claim that it was, incompetent people at the agencies. Incompetent Obama and Biden hires, DEI, diversity, right? Minorities. Here's the problem. Look who Trump hired for the Department of Transportation and the Pentagon, the two agencies involved in this crash. At the Pentagon, Trump hired a Fox News host to be Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth. At the Department of Transportation, Trump hired a Fox News regular, Duffy, is his name, to be Secretary of Transportation. Maybe, if we're going to call into question the qualifications of political appointees and nominees, we should be asking why people are getting jobs simply because they're Fox News hosts. That's a problem. For this crash now going forward, we need to know what really happened. We need qualified people at the head of these agencies looking into what happened, not people who were chosen because they look good on TV. We need to know that the agencies investigating are looking for the truth, not looking for what Trump already said happened. We don't want the agencies to blame the military pilot just because Trump said he was to blame. We don't want the agencies to blame minorities just because Trump said they're to blame, or to blame Barack Obama or President Biden. I still think it's hilarious that Obama is guilty when he left office, 9 years ago. This is very bad. It's a horrible crash, but it's just a really horrible aftermath. Not surprising from Trump, but very sad and very typical and very unhelpful for the nation.
I put my head in my hands, Pam, when the president said that. This is something that has been pushed by the far right for a few months now, that DEI policies are to blame in a degradation of safety in aviation in the United States. But frankly, the president is getting out ahead of his skis here. What he has said is not only unprofessional, unpresidential, inconsiderate of the status of this investigation, but frankly, it is just unhinged. That he could even say with any sort of certainty that diversity, equity, and inclusion policies had any part to play in this accident. Remember that 67 people are dead. I hate to get so upset here, but this is something that investigators will really need to pick apart piece by piece, and that is going to take some really significant time. We're not even 24 hours after this crash. We're barely even 12 hours after this crash. And he is saying with a lot of certainty that the blame is on DEI, and the blame is in some ways on air traffic control and air traffic controller hiring. I have to feel for the air traffic controllers in the tower at Reagan National Airport who had to essentially sit there helplessly and make the call to first responders to say we have a serious aircraft crash at 8:48 last night. Let's parse out some more of this, because it's really significant here that President Trump also put some of the blame on Democrats. He said that Transportation Secretary, now former Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, engaged in BS. He actually used the full word live on television. The fact of the matter is that Transportation Secretary Buttigieg was very hard on aviation safety. There was a day-long safety stand down because of the rise of near collisions on the runways at commercial airports nationwide that really took off in 2023. I did a sit-down interview with Buttigieg. He was well-versed on the topic. He knew the points. He knew where the blind spots were, and the FAA and the Department of Transportation from the top down of the Biden administration was taking that problem very seriously. He also was incredibly hard on airlines and consumer protections.
Here's what Buttigieg posted on his X account. Let's give this a read. Quote, despicable. As families grieve, Trump should be leading, not lying, ... President Trump now oversees the military and the FAA. One of his first acts was to fire and suspend some of the key personnel who helped keep our skies safe. Time for the president to show actual leadership and explain what he will do to prevent this from happening again. Well, we know Trump won't do that, as he just took the podium and blamed DEI for the plane crash without any evidence or investigation, but kudos to Pete Buttigieg for correctly pointing out that it is Donald Trump who oversees the FAA, and it is Donald Trump who just signed an order to fire a bunch of airline personnel, which undeniably impacts safety measures and protocols.
The big bottom line here is that there are so many vacancies in the federal government when it comes to aviation safety. There is no administrator of the FAA right now. President Trump has not put somebody forth for that.
Is there an acting FAA director?
There is no administrator of the Transportation Security Administration. The Trump administration needs to put somebody forth for that as well.
The saddest part about all of this is in a moment where we not only should be showing love and sending condolences and care and doing what we can to try and ensure that this doesn't happen again, we are trying to demonize people who we perceive as other, whether it be immigrants, whether it be Muslims, and sad to say, whether it be black people. Because that's where all the DEI stuff comes from, us not being considered a part of. And as long as all of this time and energy is being devoted to demonizing the other, it leaves you extremely vulnerable to the danger that emerges from right here. You are actually willing to be less safe to preserve your racism.
I don't give two shits that families are being separated if somebody's getting deported. I actually find it hilarious. It gives me a great deal of comfort. I have no sympathy that your child might grow up without a father because he got sent back to Mexico or whatever. I mean, y'all are welcome to go with him. Don't forget that's an option. That's a choice that you're making, right? I don't have any sympathy for your little videos that you're making on social media with all the tears. I don't give a shit. I'm actually fucking laughing at you that you're sitting there crying for attention. Okay. I find you guys to be subhumans. All right. Now, while you're sitting there judging me because I don't care that families are going to be separated from each other, I'd invite you to recall that hundreds of J6ers were separated from their families for something that equates to little more than a trespassing charge. Where were you then? Okay, bye.
Huh? What's wrong, Maga? Oh, you thought it was just a war against black and brown people?
Okay, so this is hilarious. I just saw this white lady on here complaining that she just lost her job because she was hired under the diversity, equity, and inclusion program at her work. And you can see she didn't want to say it, but she really wanted to be like, but I'm not black. But that's not what diversity, equity, inclusion meant. The number one recipient of DEI hires is white women. The number one people who have benefited the most from this whole affirmative action and DEI hired has been white women, 100%. And now all these white women who voted for Donald Trump are going to find out that DEI included them. And I'm sorry, but this is one of the best fuck around and find out moments yet, because these women are the ones who deserve to be fired. I'm sorry, like, if you voted for Donald Trump and you get fired because you were a DEI hire, don't come looking to me for sympathy.
I do find it quite interesting that it took for Donald Trump to be president for a second term for people, especially white women, to understand that DEI never meant black. It literally was a program that means diversity, equity, inclusion. That's what DEI means. And the people who benefited the most off of DEI initiatives were not black people. They were white women, Asians, at some points Latinx community, and the queer community at times. But usually if you're white and queer, not if you're of color and queer. And when I got into working with DEI programs at my last organization, I did it because I saw the numbers and I saw that people who look like me, especially black women, were benefiting the least from these programs. And newsflash, every opportunity that I ever got, I didn't get it because I was black. I got it because I was better than the other candidate and I had merit. I'm an educated black woman, so good luck, you guys.
Applying to all these different jobs and programs and schools throughout my life, I've always gotten into everything I've applied for. And, well, if DEI is really a problem, then why hasn't it stopped me from being able to attain the goals that I've set forth for myself? Perhaps those of you who blame DEI for your problems, it's really just something within yourself. Maybe you don't have the merit that you need for something, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that you're the lowest of the low or nothing like that. You can get better, but you can't get better if you just keep blaming other people, which kind of seems like what they're trying to get us to do, huh? If you have better thoughts about it than me, let me know, though. And speaking of DEI hires, it's kind of interesting that the new SecDef was only a major in the reserves, doesn't have a lot of knowledge about the things you would think a SecDef should have knowledge for, and yet he was hired for the job. And I don't know about you, but with all these other generals who exist in the world, there should be at least a few people, a handful, that have a little bit more merit behind themselves for that job, don't you think?
The signs have been there for years. I don't see why this will be a revelation to y'all. What Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy and Mark Zuckerberg didn't do it for you? Oh no, we all gonna feel this.
When we were working in my former agency on DEI, you know what we focused on, Joy? Is we focused on opening up internship opportunities instead of just from people in four-year schools, people who go to community colleges or trade schools. We wanted to open those opportunities for them. That was one of our DEI policies. And you know what else we did, Joy? We wanted to make sure that those interns got paid. Because I don't know about you, but when I was going to college or law school, I was washing dishes, I was mowing lawns in the summers. I couldn't afford one of those fancy unpaid internships.
Same.
Well, that's a barrier to folks, right? To folks like all over the country, not just people of color, although certainly people of color, but people that live in small towns or rural communities. Those were the types of policies we were advancing.
Right, and I think that people on the right have decided DEI just means black people having jobs. So a black people has job, black person is DEI. That's what they've decided. But DEI really is, as you said, it isn't a quota for hiring lots of black people. It is recruitment. It's saying, let's also go to HBCUs and see if maybe those students might want some of the things Harvard kids get. You know, just the recruitment. Or saying these people are veterans who fought in the Iraq War. It's difficult for them to find employment. Hey, let's recruit among them and see if they might want these jobs, right? DEI is not a quota of black people. It's getting diverse groups of people of all races and all over the country.
You're absolutely right. There are long-time laws on the books regarding the civil service that have prohibited affirmative action quotas. So we've never had that in the federal government. But what you do have to do, like you said, is look at who you're recruiting. Look at what those applicant pools look like. You want to make sure that you have America represented in those applicant pools, so they at least then stand a shot to go through and show that they're qualified. Because let me tell you, Joy, the people that get through that federal job application process and get hired, they're qualified for those jobs.
One of the lesser known, most common recipients of DEI is white Republicans. Before you get your panties in a twist, let me explain. As I'm sure you know, the majority of rural Americans vote Republican. And I can tell you this with certainty right now, the biggest state schools in whatever state you reside in have initiatives that give priority to rural students. The vast majority of students that benefit from those initiatives are white. You don't have to sign up for these programs. It's based off of your address and the county that you live in. Students that are from these counties are also likely receiving a lot more financial aid than the average student. And if you live in a state that has Appalachian counties, just go ahead and double that. This doesn't just apply to undergraduate institutions. A lot of medical schools do this as well. There's a huge need for people to practice rural medicine, and if you come from a rural county, you're more likely to stay in the area and practice medicine. So they give huge priority to students that are from rural counties. And again, if you're in a state that has Appalachian counties, they're prioritizing that too. The unfortunate reality is that most of these students don't even realize that they are the benefactors of DEI. And so when new students come to apply that come from these rural and or Appalachian counties, they're not going to get to benefit from those same initiatives. And it'll be too late. A lot of you seem to think that DEI is just for minorities and didn't realize that you were also a minority as well.
And unfortunately, even those who saw all of this and tried to stand in the way of it are going to feel it too. That's what y'all did, MAGA. That's why we look at you like we do. Yeah, you got us out here suffering because of your ignorance. Now you know how we felt when y'all were out here celebrating the demise of DEI.
Is there anyone out there who can give me one benefit of the DEI movement?
I got you, and you can fact check me on this.
One benefit.
Therapy for veterans, so there's one for you.
One benefit of
mother's rooms, so when you're a fresh mother and you have to pump your breast for your children.
Give me one benefit.
Paid caregiver leave, so when a family member is about to pass away and your company says go home, we'll pay you while you see them away.
Give me one benefit of
paternity leave, so when you're an expectant parent, you can actually spend time with your newborn.
You can give me one benefit.
Disable accessible places and spaces, so think like elevators, wheelchair ramps, handicap stalls in a bathroom, even ergonomic like displays and setups for somebody who might not be able to do day-to-day activities. I have a friend who lost most of the use to his hands and his job requires him to type. So there's a screen program that clocks his eyes and goes to where he needs. So there's an example.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion is racist.
Matter of fact, I'm gonna make you more mad, MAGA. I'm gonna make you more mad. How about this one?
When you don't have the best standards in who you're hiring, it means on the one hand, you're not getting the best people in government, but on the other hand, it puts stresses on the people who are already there. We want to hire the best people because we want the best people at air traffic control, and we want to make sure we have enough people at air traffic control who are actually competent to do the job. If you go back to just some of the headlines over the past 10 years, you have many hundreds of people suing the government because they would like to be air traffic controllers, but they were turned away because of the color of their skin. That policy ends under Donald Trump's leadership because safety is the first priority of our aviation industry.
So like JD Vance, I am a former Marine who used their GI Bill to attend Yale University. Here's my degree right there. And like JD Vance, who attended Yale Law School, I was there at the same time as him. We actually sat on the board of the Yale Veterans Association, which is an alumni association, and we both were able to be recipients of DEI efforts at Yale University. At the time that I was a student, there were only 5 veterans in my entire program. There are currently 25 in the Divinity School program now. In the undergraduate program, there are about 8 veterans. In the Eli Whitney program, there are currently about 15. Now, the law school where JD Vance was a student, he was one of about 6 students at the time at the law school. Currently, I'm pretty sure their numbers are in the 20s or the 30s when it comes to veterans. So these efforts to increase and push diversity, equity, and inclusion is something that benefited JD Vance. And he is now turning around and he's pulling the ladder up so that people like him who grew up in poor Appalachia, who joined the Marines, who were able to use the GI Bill, are no longer able to follow in his footsteps because he wants to remove the same DEI programs that got him to where he is today.
What you crying for, Maga? What happened? What happened? Let it out.
We tried to tell you. Cue the music.
Never thought the leopards would eat my face. No, I never thought the leopards would eat my face. Well, I turned my back on my own kind, but I somehow thought that I'd be fine. No,
Many were surprised when they found out or realized that veterans fall under DEI. But let me share with you all the other categories that fall under DEI that are no longer protected. All right, the first category, neurodiversity. This category covered or protected individuals with autism, ADHD, dyslexia, or other neurological conditions. Socioeconomic status, essentially community members from low-income areas. The one we've spoken about was veterans. That one also is in that, falls under that, as well as active duty military spouses. Yes, my dependents, you fall under a category. And you are no longer protected by the DEI. Parental and caregiver inclusion, which means that they do not give a shit about you having to go take care of your child. No more flexible working schedule, no more nothing. Age diversity, they are going to be able to discriminate you if you're too young or if you're too old. Religious and spiritual practices. Oh, you gotta go pray? You're fired. You're no longer protected. Oh, it's a holiday for you? Don't care. You need to show up to work. None of this is protected anymore. Language. How many of us speak a different language and usually find a coworker that speaks it too and you're over there just chatting away? Yeah, you're no longer protected. And lastly, body diversity. You can now be discriminated by the size of your body, by what you look like.
You thought you could be JD Vance or Donald Trump someday? You thought they pulled themselves up by the bootstraps. Is that what you thought? Oh, the Trump inheritance wasn't a giveaway for you? Oh, they told you it was just us, huh? Well, so I told you don't believe everything you hear.
I had over $10,000 in food stamps. Oh my God. So I told my husband, and he says to me as I'm crying, well, maybe you'll lose some weight now. Why did I vote for him? Me.
Actually, bump that, Maga. You don't believe hardly nothing you hear, but somehow you decided magically to believe that.
This post reads, veterans didn't know they were DEI hires because everyone thinks DEI means black. And this is the same thing that happened with affirmative action, because white women benefited the most from affirmative action, but got mad because they thought that people of color, black people, were getting admitted to college in place of them and didn't deserve to be. And the reason that the propaganda around affirmative action and diversity, equity, inclusion has worked this way is because of racism. And at a certain point, you have to realize that a lot of these people are grown adults who have the ability to look stuff up. Most of these veterans who do vote, most of these people getting into colleges who do vote, have the ability to look up what these actually are instead of listening to a charismatic man on a stage tell them what it means. And again, the reason that the propaganda works is because of the racism.
And if you thought we were mad before, imagine having to deal with everything that we deal with in general society. You understand that, Maga, because you know how you behave. So imagine being the object of your behavior.
Independent black woman, I don't need no man, and I'm gonna get whitey. And I'm gonna lock Donald Trump up, just like Letitia James, right? And she goes, now you're gonna elect me, and I'm gonna lock him up. We're gonna get Trump. Like the way they talk and their little DEI Shaniqua voices. And they all have the same voice. I'm talking about Kamala Harris Letitia James and Fannie Willis. Like, meritless DEI Shaniquas talk the same way. It's very obnoxious the way that they talk.
If you don't get your motherfucking botch nose job, right nostril bigger than the other, herpes mouth lip because it's kind of red in the corner, sideburn thicker than mine, double chin, dirty neck crease, disproportionate bad built dimensions, buck tooth, leave it to Beaver, Squidward when he got that chiseled ass jaw look on, SpongeBob looking ass the fuck up out of here.
And having it framed as being something that we need, having the label tossed on anybody black or female or LGBTQ or disabled, whatever the case may be, who happens to have a position of any esteem, only for y'all to be the main recipients. How you like them apples? America.
So DEI is about that and about providing services for workers. It's not about the color of a person's skin.
And it's not a quota program.
It's
Let's just be clear. It means
Absolutely.
that, not, and it also, I think, for a lot of conservatives, they believe DEI just means black people getting jobs. And so when they see a black person in any job, they say, oh, that person's a DEIer. They said it about the literal elected vice president of the United States.
Absolutely.
She wasn't hired. She was hired by the American people. 80 million Americans voted for her, but they can't see through her race and gender. So it isn't just about hiring black people and women, right? It's about disabled veterans being accommodated. Veterans returning from wars are also under DEI.
Absolutely. And I see that as a veteran myself, right? Mm-hmm. I see this initiative as a direct impact and attack on veterans. Of the 2.2 million federal workers, 642,000 of those are veterans. And so this is, in my way of viewing this, is a direct attack against veterans as well. The misunderstanding of what DEI really is, it's on us to really educate the public as to what it really is all about.
That's right. Your infinite wisdom has spit on the veterans. Well, again, because you also did it when you excused all that business over at Arlington National Cemetery, so.
We do know that the cemetery has filed an incident report, and defense officials tell us that's because members of the Trump campaign staff were aggressive both physically and verbally towards a cemetery staffer. That staffer was trying to enforce rules that prohibit campaigns from filming at grave sites across the cemetery, but especially at Section 60. Section 60, as you noted, is an emotional spot in the cemetery for so many because it is where many young veterans killed in Iraq and Afghanistan are buried.
And then before that, there was a whole thing with John McCain.
I supported him for president. I raised $1 million for him. It's a lot of money. I supported him. He lost. He let us down. But, he lost. So I never liked him as much after that because I don't like losers. But Frank, let me get to it. He hit me. He's not a war hero. He's a war hero. He's a war hero.
5.5 years.
He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured, okay? I hate to tell you.
Then there was the airports during the Revolutionary War. It's a lot of spittle. It's very wet. It is extremely wet over it, like dirty snow. It's dirty snow is what we got going over there.
In June of 1775, the Continental Congress created a unified army out of the revolutionary forces encamped around Boston and New York, and named after the great George Washington, Commander-in-Chief. The Continental Army suffered a bitter winter of Valley Forge, found glory across the waters of the Delaware, and seized victory from Cornwallis of Yorktown. Our army manned the airports. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do.
So congratulations. I hope you're proud of yourselves. But y'all are the real Americans, though, right? The ball's in your court, Maga. The ball is in your court. Things will move in this direction until you decide to open your eyes and act in your own best interest. In the meantime, cue the music.
Never thought that I was leaving my face. No, I never thought that I was leaving my face. We bonded over bigotry, but they weren't supposed to turn on me. No, I never thought that I was leaving my face. Now I never thought that I was leaving my face.
Yep, that's right. We started with DEI and we ended with DEI. That is how 2025 kicked off. And also just a moment of silence for Vivek, because that was brutal. I had to bury that just to give him enough cushion on both sides of that brutality. But I'm going to put a poll up on the community tab, so go ahead and make sure you vote on who you think is the racist of the month. And of course, there's a whole lot more where that came from.